Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, fellow Ambazonians. Good afternoon, this beautiful day of Saturday, May the 13th, 2023. It's a pleasure having you on the set of the War Zone right here on the ABS TV. It's rather unusual for us to be having a show on a weekend, but you said desperate times call for desperate measures, and that is what we have to do. And that is why we are here today on a Saturday. It's very unusual for us, as I already said. But we are here to make sure that we continue to um, bring you revolutionary tidbits and some very critical items that need to be explored and explained and to our people so that they understand what exactly is going on, especially at this time during our struggle where there's a lot of bombardment going on in terms of the information that is being given to our people, and it is our responsibility to make sure that they are getting the right information so they too can make uh, informed decisions that are good for our struggle. So this Saturday, I have a very serious panel with me today, and we will be talking about a few things. But top on the list will be this much talked about referendum. But in addition to that, we also are going to take a look at the situation of La République du Cameroon stepping in and completely trying to destroy every fabric of our society. And for quite some time now, our chiefdoms and fondoms have been exempt from this incursion. But La Republic is making sure that even that too is completely under their control, whereby henceforth they will be the ones speaking our chiefs and fonds. Imagine that. If they take that from away from us, then what else do we have? Then we have completely nothing. So we're going to take a look at that. And of course, recently you heard that activists also had a conference somewhere, I think it was in Belgium. And I have my panel will take a look at what that was all about and the resolutions that came out of it. And of course, again, as I mentioned, um, the issue of a referendum. Should there be one? Should there not be one? If so, how should it be conducted? We are going to explore some of the questions, the concerns that Ambazonians are having out there, and we're going to help clear some of these doubts and explain some of these things. And time permitting, we will try to take some calls from ground zero, especially on this topic of a referendum. I think we cannot deal with this issue exclusively in the diaspora because it concerns ground zero. And at this point in time, I think it is better that we actually listen to them as to what they want. We have to listen to ground zero. Let them tell us what they want because they are the ones that are bearing the brunt of this brutal war that was brought on us by Mr. Pobia. So we have to listen to them and take their opinions into account as to how this revolution will be persecuted henceforth. And those are some of the highlights that I would like for us to discuss. But first of all, I would like for us to take a moment to thank our restoration fighters, our ARFs, who are doing everything in their powers, despite the limited resources, to stand their grounds and resist the brutality of La République du Cameroon. And they have been standing their ground for almost 7 years now. A thing that was previously thought to be unheard of, that we will be able to resist La République du Cameroon for this long. But it is almost 7 years now, and we owe a debt of gratitude to our restoration fighters. We can never thank you enough for what you are doing, the sacrifices you are making, and for the defense of our homeland, the defense of our mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters who on a daily basis are being subjected to some of the most inhumane forms of treatment by the criminal soldiers of La République du Cameroon. And for you to stand up and resist them for this long, we can only but doff our hats to you. And we say, thank you so much for what you're doing. and keep doing it. Someday you will, not long from now though, you will be able to we will all be able to gather at the foot of Mount Fako and celebrate victory, for we would have taken back our country from the hands of these charlatans from the Republic of Cameroon. So thank you again, fellow Ambazonians, for tuning in. Let me see what the numbers look like. Let me see what the numbers look like before I bring in my panel so we can start exploring some of these discussions. Whatever happens, I think we are going to, I will see how many of them are here already. I will see how many of them are here already, and we can already bring them in. And please do me a favor. Can you please share the link? Share the link. I don't want these discussions to be listened to by only a few people. I know it's a Saturday and people have a lot of commitments. Though this most of what we do here is for Ground Zero, and I know many of them are watching via the satellite and so on. But even those of us in the diaspora, I think it's important for us to be engaged in this discussion as well, because we are the ones that are filling all the chat rooms and this back and forth exchanges going on. But let me see how many of my panelists are here. My panel is composed of a four-man panel that I'm supposed to have today. Let me see if Comrade Comrade Franklin Vala Franklin is supposed to be here with me. Comrade Lehman is supposed to be here. Comrade Jackson is supposed to be here, and Comrade Guambe is supposed to be here. I can see Comrade Vala Franklin is already on. Thank you, sir. Comrade Vala, can you say a word of introduction, at least to Ambazonians, so they know who you are, and as we go on to discuss, can you say a word to Ambazonians who are listening or watching from Ground Zero, Ground One, the diaspora, wherever they're watching all over the world? You know that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fusi. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be in this great platform. Amazonians all over the world, where they are watching from, I think that they know me, the firebrand. And this is the beginning of the things we have cried for, to come together, to collaborate, to talk to one another. And if I'm taking a lead, I'm doing it because of the blood of our people. And I want to thank Mr. Fosi for all his hard work behind the scene. As you people can see, I am here. Thank you so much, and God bless you. We are all one, and we are together. Thank you, sir. Again, this is Vera Franklin.
All right. I cannot thank you enough, Comrade Vela. That is a spirit right there. That is a spirit right there. We have to put everything aside for our people. And what a way of demonstrating it. Because when I reached out to Comrade Franklin, I didn't know what he was going to say. But hey, if our people are dying on the ground, some sleeping in the bushes, what does it cost you to put aside your ego and reach out to a fellow comrade for the sake of our struggle? So again, comrade, I really appreciate you coming on board. I also saw Chairman Jackson is on. Can you say introduce yourself, Chairman Jackson?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you 5 and 5.
Yes, welcome, Comrade Vela Frank. Is that Franklin?
Franklin. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. Vela Franklin, yes. It's a pleasure to share this plateau, this panel with him. And Chairman Mike, you've been doing a great job. I hope our deliberations today will go a long way to educate and inform our people who have been inundated with so much information that they find it so difficult to understand because of so much information is being well, for some reasons spilled out there for to confuse and misdirect our people. So it's a pleasure having bringing me today, and let's see how we go.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Jackson, for coming on board. I don't know if Comrade Lehman is in yet, if Dr. Ngwamba is in yet. Can I see you, please? I don't see Comrade Lehman yet, but I spoke to him not long ago. Okay, Dr. Mwambe is here. Yes, introduce yourself. Not that you need any introduction, but do it anyway.
That Mike, happy Saturday to you and happy Saturday to my fellow Ambazonians. I want to make sure I greet our liberation forces, our restoration forces back home who are doing a marvelous job. I want to greet our citizens back home who are, also bearing the brunt of this liberation struggle. I also want to make sure I greet my fellow co-panelists, my brother Chairman Jackson, my brother Comrade Verla Franklin, and my brother Comrade Lehman, who will eventually join us. Today is Saturday. We're going to have a very fruitful discussion because the debate on the referendum option, it's continuing, and it is our responsibility to make sure that you, my people, you all are educated appropriately, you all are informed appropriately, so you can make an educated and informed decision of all the false and disinformation narrative that is out there for you. So stick around and let's talk.
Again, thank you, Dr. Ngwambe. Thank you for coming on board. Yes, as we wait for Comrade Lehman to join us, I would like for us to take on maybe chew a tidbit and just to make sure that the platform is populated too, and also to get Comrade Franklin. Maybe he's delayed somewhere to join us. Why don't we start with this? We listened to an audio. I think it was an audio, yeah, from Capo Daniel recently, feuding with Dr. Cho Ayaba on their differences that have been ongoing now for some time, and there were really some revelations made during his outing. I don't know how authentic those revelations were, but they're really eye-opening. And I don't know what you guys think of what Capo Daniel said. We just have to gloss over it. That's really not one of the topics we're supposed to talk about, but just to wait so that the audience builds, and then we get Comrade Lehman to join us. If we can just say something about it. Comrade Vala, what's your take on what Capo Daniel said about Joe Ayaba?
Can you repeat the last question? What's my take about what Capo Daniel?
What do you think about Capo Daniel's latest outing, about his feud with, let me just say, with his feud with the ADF? Let me put it that way.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. That's brilliant. The thing I would say to all Ambazonians that are watching me across the globe, from the prison, from refugee camps, from Ground Zero, IDPs, and the soldiers in Ground Zero, very simple. The struggle is ordained by God. And everything that is happening is in God's control. Sometimes God comes like a thief in the night. And maybe that is the time when God wants us to come together. Maybe he's giving us plagues. Maybe he's giving us jubilation. But what Capo Daniel is saying, I think is a blessing for this struggle. And what I want to say is, everyone has made mistakes now. If there's anyone in Ambazonia that want to claim that they are holy, they are sent, I don't think that exists. Because this is a blessing, and this is the reason why we activists come together calling on everyone to collaborate.
Okay.
Because that now show in Ambazonia, there is no human being without a mistake, without an error. Every group has gone through that. There's no group that can say, oh, there's no cliff, there's no another group that has been created out of me. Everyone has that now. So that is a humble call from God. I don't like to smear people. I don't like to insult people. It is a humble call from God to say, Ambazonians, you want to talk to the enemy. First, talk to yourself. You are all lovely people. Come together. So what Capo Daniel is doing is the mission, is a will of God. And God wanted that to happen for us to be stronger today, tomorrow, in the future, and after independence than ever before. Thank you so much. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you for that very optimistic look at the situation, Comrade Franklin. I think that's very optimistic, and that's the posture we ought to have. Dr. Ngwambe, what's your take on it? Before I go to Chairman Jackson.
So this is the way I look at it. I think all of us belong to organizations, right? And when you look at those organizations, there have been differences in the way we expect things to happen. Right? There have been issues of accountability, issues of results that were not delivered. You know, certain violations of constitutions, etc. So when you see these types of things that are going on, you see the fallout of Capo Daniel from AGOC ADF, you begin to wonder which category that he falls in. And you know, and you begin to, and at the end of the day, you also realize that these are things that are going to happen. I mean, personally, I don't really see who he left his organization with that is really going to help him build a new organization that is going to try to improve upon the things that he had concerns about at CADF. So I'm not really worried about him. One thing that I do wish though is that at the time that he spent there as their mouthpiece, he made a lot of statements that unfortunately did not help on behalf of his institution. He made a lot of statements that did not help promote this newfound feeling that Ambazonians are having this year in particular, to come together and to want to collaborate, and that is rather unfortunate. So what I'm expecting to see from the AGOC ADF leadership, their new spokesperson, I believe it's our brother Asu Lucas, he's there now. I'm looking for them to have a more conciliatory tone. I mean, we have heard our brother Villa Franklin, some of his more recent audios and outings. He has actually had a very conciliatory tone. He has actually been very constructive in his criticism of trying to hold his leadership at his organization accountable. And that's what I'm expecting of all Ambazonians who belong to organizations and any spokesperson, that hold your leadership accountable and at the same time promote an alliance tone, a coalition tone, a collaborative tone between us of the various Ambazonia organizations. So that's the way I look at this particular thing right now. That's what I want to see moving forward.
All right, thank you. And your take on it before we move on, Chairman Jackson. What's your take on the statements that Capodana made? Is Chairman Jackson there? Okay. I think Chairman Jackson is frozen. Okay. I think we can. I just wanted us to bite on that as a way to buy time. But our first topic of the day would be this video that we saw recently. I think it was somewhere in Bambala, where La République du Cameroon officials came in after the passing of the fund. It is still unclear the conditions under which that fund passed away. We don't know how he passed away, but whatever the case, however he passed away, we saw La République du Cameroon officials taking center stage in the palace of the fund, deciding on how the succession was going to take place. And we also saw the notables, the kingmakers, standing on the side as observers to this, I don't know what to call it, that is La République du Cameroon officials were doing in a palace. So I don't know how many of us are from the Northern Zone. We take these matters very seriously. Like where I come from, when the fund or a king passes, it is not even called death. It is said that he has disappeared. That is how secret these traditional aspects of our life are handled. That the passing of the fund is not even announced as a death. They call it a disappearance because it is known that the fund does not die, he disappears. And there are times when even you have several days may go by without anyone in the society knowing that has happened until the notables have secured a replacement for the fund, then can it be announced. But for to see something like this, where the fund passes, and you can see that those are the people you see in the background. Those are the princes and the princesses in the background. And who are those taking center stage? La République du Cameroon colonial administrators. They are at center stage. And these people standing on the side here are the kingmakers. Those are the people that are supposed to be at center stage. And they have been sidelined. So before I even make any further comments, this is a colonial administrator making statements. This is not the way things are supposed to happen. Comrade Franklin, I don't know what you think about this, but it's just so infuriating to see these people violating us in every aspect, and now even our chiefs and our funds have been treated like prisoners in their own very palaces. You could see fear in the eyes of the notables. Look at what is happening here. People standing with weapons of war in the presence of a traditional ceremony that is supposed to be secret, first of all. Not everyone is supposed to see this thing that is happening here. Not everyone is supposed to see it. But here it is, in public view. In public view. Comrade Franklin, please, let me know what you think about this. Comrade Franklin, are you there? Okay. Yeah, this is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Look at colonial soldiers standing there with deadly weapons. Comrade Franklin, yes, I was waiting on you to just tell us how you feel about this whole. I don't know if your microphone is on. Is your microphone on? I think your microphone is off. I still can't hear you. It's not on. I don't know what's happening. Go ahead. Say something. Can anyone else hear him? Is it just me? I think
He's not coming through on my end either.
Okay, go ahead. Let me hear.
He's not
Go
coming
ahead.
through.
Oh, he's not coming through. Yeah, he's not coming through. He's not coming through. Dr. Kwame, why don't you take a jab at it while Comrade Franklin adjusts his microphone?
Can you hear me too?
I can hear you.
Okay.
What this that Mike, you and even Chairman Jackson, even our brother Vela Franklin, we know our cultures, right? We are very familiar with our cultures. Those of us who have done the meme for before, and all the respect that comes with some of those ceremonies and titles, and even how our chiefs and funds and paramount funds are selected. So we have a high respect for that. So it is rather unfortunate that you see La République du Cameroon forces trivializing this particular sacred activity and actually being brought into the bosom of where some of these ceremonial performances are taking place. You know, it seems as if it is really true when they say that, you know, he who has the guns makes the rules, because I think that's some of the stuff that is going on here. You see La République du Cameroon, they're there with their weapons of war, possibly trying to intimidate people, and that's how they found a way to muscle themselves into that particular environment. But at the end of the day, my fellow Ambazonians, we know the type of country that we want, and we know what we are fighting for. We are fighting for a country where we're not going to have the government interfering in our most sacred of activities. You understand? At the end of the day, we all know that our funds and our you know, our how can I say it, our indigenous nationalities pre-existed the existence of German Cameroon La République du Cameroon, and even French Cameroon. So there's absolutely no reason any of us will be allowing these people to be trampling upon our traditional institutions, which we value and we respect so much. It's unacceptable.
Yes, it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable, but it is even more so because when you look at what they are doing there, the one thing I wanted us to take note of is the fact that they are coming in with their guns, not because they want to celebrate or, I don't know, mourn the passing fund. No. What they are trying to do is to make sure that they put in place someone who will serve their interest. That is why they're there. That means they have now taken on the responsibility of the notables of that land. They are now the notables. They are now the kingmakers of Bambalam. Dr. Ngombe, you and I will come from Bafut. Can you imagine the Royal Highness fond of Bafut passing, and then some La Republique du Cameroon colonial soldiers and administrators come in and they go into our palace and take center stage and they're deciding who has to be the next one? Can you imagine how tragic that would be? That is what we're seeing here. And it started slowly by them secretly putting in place or buying our funds to be loyal to them instead of being loyal to the people they are serving. And now they are now come full throttle, and they are now deciding who has to be the next fund. That is exactly the reason they are there. That is the reason they are there. And that is why they are now protecting those notables that are supposed to crown the next fund, because the person that is supposed to take over is probably not the choice of the people. That is why I thought we should take a look at this, because the person that will be the next fund of Bambalan is certainly not the choice of the people. It's not the one that is normally in the line of succession. It is someone who will be loyal to La Republique du Cameroon. Am I wrong here, Chairman Jackson?
No, no. If you listen to my voice, I am very sad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, I'm very sad even responding to this because it's a total destruction of our tradition. And let me say this: even though we're talking of Bambalan, it's happening all over across Ambazonia and the grassfield, where the forms have been a secret society that guides our people throughout spiritual and other aspects of life. And this thing did not just start now. What they're doing now is just they're finalizing a process that started a long time ago. And 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 it all started because in the days of Ahijo, for those who are old enough, they know that Ahijo respected the forms and tradition of our people. That's why when he came to Mancon, he knew that he had to bow down and do all this tradition. He did it. But with the coming of Paul Biya and his aggressive policy of assimilation and total control of the people, he took upon himself to find a way to assimilate and total degrade the values of our people, which he has done effectively. And I'm going to pass some of the blame not only to him, but to art forms who opened the doors. Because if you are the custodian of the tradition of the people, you have to stand to any adversary that comes your way. But our forms became so gullible. Take, for instance, when they appoint somebody as the minister, as the government delegate, or whatever, the first thing is the funds are going to invite that individual to the village center, organize a festival, and give him a red feather because this person have been appointed by somebody from Yaoundé who is supposed to be answerable to Yaoundé. So this person now is going to tell the chief on the phone that I will take your message to the president. They will listen, and from there they said they are making the third class chiefs, fourth class, second class, first class chiefs. From there they said they're going to put them on a meager salary of 50,000 and so. So this is a total assimilation process that has been going on for a very long time. And I believe that our funds are supposed to be ashamed of themselves because they have totally destroyed the fabrics of our very existence. Because when we were growing up, it was so difficult to even see the form of your village. Let's talking of talking to him, except there was a situation that you really have to. These are people that they guided the society spiritually, they control the crimes, and even to issues of divorce, beating your wife or your husband, and they had control. When you do things like that, they take you to the village council, presided by the chairperson, overseen by the phone. People were scared, and there was law and order in the communities. But now, under the government of Tanganji Port today, they have completely rubbished the funds. And the funds now, well, they claim that they have no way they had because the government is pushing them. No, they opened the door for the government. That's why we see what is happening in Bambalang today. And it happened in another place in Bamenda where they had to choose somebody from the Western province to be the fund. And is we are more or less like the Wondo funds now that are supposed to be elected. That's the next step. We have to go to vote them. It seems like I'm talking, you're talking. I don't know. There's a technical issue here.
Can you hear me?
I'm talking, you're talking. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, all right. Thank you. Yes,
I was talking, I
I
was
was
talking,
just
and
saying.
you were talking. I was talking,
All
and you
right,
were talking. I don't know.
all right. I think there was some technical issue there. It should be corrected by now. Let us move on, and we have quite a bit to discuss. I don't know if Comrade Franklin is back on. I don't know if he's back on. He has some mic issues. His mic was acting up. I told him to maybe lock off and lock back on. Maybe that will take care of it. I don't know if he's back on.
Yes,
But I wanted to,
I've logged on and in like 7 times. So I think the
yeah, if
technical.
he does that, I think he will take care of it. If he locks off and lock back, lock. I wanted us to start talking about. Okay, Comrade Liman is into. That's great. That is great. Comrade Liman, since you just came in, I'll give you a few seconds to introduce yourself before we carry on.
Thank you, Comrade Mike. This is Lehman, calling all the way from Ohio. I'm very elated to join you guys in this conversation. A shout out to all your viewers and to our Ambazonian public as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and you're very much welcome. Yes, you came in just on time because we were just talking about a few other things just to get us to the main topic of the day, being the referendum discussion that is occupying a lot of space on social media and even on ground zero. But before we go there, I wanted to ask something. I don't know how much you know about the activist conference that held in Belgium recently and the resolutions passed. I was hoping that someone who probably has some insight as to what was discussed can just briefly tell us if the objectives of that conference were achieved and what we should look forward to in the days ahead. Do you know anything about it, Kumar Liman, since you just came in?
Unfortunately, I have not been briefed by the comrades who went there in details.
Mm-hmm.
I have just the general view of what happened. That
Okay.
they came together and they had a good time, charting the way forward. So I saw a press release, but there was nothing detailed into it. So I'm actually on the borderline just as much as you are.
Okay, all right. In that case, Dr. Ngombe, I don't know about you. Do you know about? I know they had some resolutions coming out of that conference, and why I was even interested is because I think we will all agree that our activists, at least a good chunk of them, uh, by my own reading, had gone astray somehow in what an activist is supposed to do. An activist is supposed to be like a referee. You call it as you see it, a referee or a linesman, however you want to call it. But our activists, for some time now, have tended to be more of partisans. They have tended to consider themselves as policymakers and taking sides with the various leadership movements out there. And that is what has actually destroyed the reputation of quite a good number of them. Because the public can tell when you start saying things that are not right. You think you're deceiving the public, but you are not. And before long, you start losing viewership, you start losing followers, and very soon you start acting like someone in the wilderness. You're just shouting there by yourself, but no one is listening. And that is why I thought we should take a look at it to see if there was anything that was discussed there. Did they take some time to evaluate where they are coming from, what their performance has been this far, if they have made any mistakes, how they intend to correct them going forward? I was just hoping that someone can throw some light onto it. Dr. Ngwambe, do you have any information in regards to that?
So, Mike and Comrade Lehman, welcome. Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. So, actually, fortunately, I was able to find the resolutions that I believed our brother Mark Beretta shared in some of the forums that we are present there with him. And first thing they pointed out, they said that they've selected Tapang Ivo and Mark Beretta to be their spokespeople. They also, the second resolution is that they resolve to work to encourage all existing structures to build a more collaborative platform. And actually, that's a really welcome statement for them to make, because as you rightfully pointed out, unfortunately, the activists happen to get themselves caught up in some partisan wranglings and some partisan situations. And to a degree, for those who stood on principle, right? For example, for those who stood on the principle that if a leader is incapacitated, they're in the throngs of the enemy, you cannot really rely on that leader too much. That's a principle I think that most people can agree on. So I just really hope that they will, instead of allowing themselves to get trapped up in this thing about who is who and what is what, that they will find a way to be more principled in the way that they are coming to their conclusions and their decisions. So I welcome this aspect of speaking about collaboration. If there are any organizations who are hindering collaboration from taking place, it would be a good idea that they call those organizations out respectfully, of course. If they can, while they're in the process of calling those organizations out, they make every effort to indicate that, hey, we've had this particular conversation, I've made this particular call, this is where this particular person stands with collaboration, and this is what's going to take to get them there, and this is what we're doing to try to get them there. If they can be fair and balanced like that in how they're approaching this collaboration issue, I think it should help all of us. The next resolution that they looked at, this issue of stakeholders in the liberation struggle, they say they're going to be referring to the leaders now as comrades, no longer CIC, no longer president, no longer head of state, no longer your highness or your magnanimous or whatever term that is there. And I think all of us, especially those of us who are part of the IG that Comrade Chris is now leading, I think this is something that we can definitely get behind, because Comrade Chris has actually been leading the way on this particular aspect of looking at it. My fellow Ambazonians, we all have heard the stories or the statements in the past where certain leaders were avoiding interacting with certain international organizations or even with their fellow Ambazonians because all of a sudden they thought they were on some high pedestal. So I guess they all of a sudden thought they were a fund, and now that they're a fund, you had to get your me before you can talk to them, and before you talk to them, you have to kneel and do all that. You understand now? That's the perception that some of these people had put themselves in, and unfortunately, it helped to hinder opportunities for collaboration and opportunities for interaction with international stakeholders. So Comrade Chris has actually been leading the way on this, and I applaud the activists for actually, even though they didn't come out outright recognize it, but at least they recognize the importance of making people know that, yes, you may be a leader of a struggle, but we are essentially all equals when it comes to what we want for Ambazonia and our contributions, for whether it's financial or whether it's sensitizing the public or engaging the international community. They also talked about in their resolutions on the issue of a referendum. They said that as one of the possible solutions to the war against the people of Southern Cameroon/Ambazonia, they resolved to support the call from any movement that advocates for a UN-sponsored and organized referendum, have regular meetings with experts on referendum to equip themselves with knowledge, educate the people on the referendum option, and plan and organize the public demonstrations worldwide, and demanding the UN to organize a referendum. And this particular aspect, I want to make sure I think we all who are here on this show today and who are even support of the option of a referendum can definitely applaud our brothers and our sisters who are activists for adding their voice to making sure that proper information is given to Ambazonians around the world with regards to this option of a referendum. I'm also glad to see they're also going to be part of us in helping to reach out to the international community. I remember, I think I saw a picture somewhere of Ufoka Eugene, and we all know some of the activism that he used to do in the past until recently he went quiet. So now that Ambazonians are beginning to speak with one voice and have a common ask, I really look forward to people like him, our brother Prince Jakar, Eriko Akaba, Caroline Mala, I know Mumin Daga, he's already with us. Some of the other people who have been there, who, I really look forward to these gentlemen and gentle ladies, gentlewomen coming on board and working hand in glove with us to continue to sensitize our people and interacting with the international community. So I really welcome these resolutions. All in all, when you look at the totality of this, and they also talked about the invoking the responsibility to protect, so all these revolutions, I really look forward to seeing how they're going to implementing them. And I look forward to our organization, the IG, working with them to see how these resolutions are going to be implemented. At the end of the day, we all have common interests. And where those common interests align, we are going to work together. Where they don't align, we're not going to engage in any sabotage or any vilification of false information against pro-independence, Ambazonian-minded people. You'll do your thing in your particular organ. When we have something we can work on together, we'll come together and do it. And I think that's the best path forward. And I think the activist resolutions that they came to, are in line with that. And I want to applaud them and, look forward to seeing how things progress in the future. Good job, guys and girls. Yeah, Tamik, you may be muted.
Am I? I'm not.
Okay, no.
I'm not. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm done. Sorry, I'm done.
Okay, but you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Because my mic is all green here. So yes, as I was saying, and I'm glad you made that statement because for quite some time now we have not been able to talk to each other, and we talk to each other in terms of insults and vilifications and character assassination. I think we need to grow out of it and know that. If we want to be taken seriously, then we have to be able to demonstrate ourselves as being capable of this respectfully disagreeing with each other, and making sure that we convince people to buy onto our ideas. If you have an idea, you have to sell it, and if it's convincing enough, then people buy it. You don't threaten people into buying the idea that you're putting out there. I think that's something we really have to work on. And that is why I think Comrade Chris is bringing some of those activities that you mentioned on Monday, I believe, which people might think that we're just encouraging or trying to praise him or something, but I think he's demonstrated time and time again to be able to reach out to people who have actually said some really negative things about him, and to still bring them and have a discussion with them, have a dialogue with them. And that's something that we need to see a lot more of from the other leaders. Now, let's transition to the big topic of the day, a referendum, which, as you mentioned, the activists also endorsed it, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to know that they too are embracing this positive initiative. Now, Comrade Lehman, there's been a lot of interpretations of what a referendum is. And there have been a lot of statements about what a referendum is, which is exactly an exaggeration or a misinterpretation of the meaning. So, help those who are listening to us or who will be listening to us, because these shows are sometimes run over and over, to understand what exactly a referendum is. What is a referendum, Comrade Lehman? Is Comrade Lehman there?
Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Comrade Mike. I'm really happy to have this opportunity to present to you, our people, some of the insights to why there is a recent call for a referendum. So, as we remember, if we can go back memory lane into history, in 1961, our people were at a juncture where they had to decide for themselves if to be a sovereign country or not. So our elected leaders, John Gufoncha and Endele, they went to the UN and they decided, they tried to get a way out, but it could not work the way they wanted. So they had to push back the question to our people to vote. And now, 62 years later on, we are somehow back at that same situation. And this time around, it's really bad because there's a war going on. And this war is going on between the two states that joined, came together to form the federation that was illegally terminated in 1972. So we have a situation where the two countries that were formerly in that union are fighting against each other. And so there must be a way out for us to resolve this conflict that is equitable, that is just, and that respect international laws. So we have been fighting for 6 years, getting on 7 years, and there is apparently a stalemate. So our people are trying to understand what is the option that we have on the table. So for a couple of years, we have been preaching that, we are in a conflict which is legally accepted. It is okay for people to have disagreement. What we don't agree is we must not kill each other till the last man standing. For the international community to step in and bring a solution that is both accepted by all our citizens and the international community. Now, with this in mind, that is why you hear the call of a referendum. And now, why the referendum? Because this is a conflict where the sovereignty of our people is at question. The sovereignty is in the hands of our people to decide. And understanding that we are in a conflict where the sovereignty of our state, our subjugated state, is at question, we no longer have elected deputies who can speak on our behalf. We stopped electing our deputies since 1972, when the East Cameroon government utilized the federal government to subjugate the sovereignty of the Republic of Cameroon, of Southern Cameroon, excuse me. So the call for this referendum is to give our people the chance to be able to settle this problem amongst themselves. It is called the
Comrade
right to
Lehman,
self-determination.
Comrade Lehman, hold your thought right there. We will go into the rationale for a referendum, but let us just understand what a referendum is, so that all the misinformation out there can a little bit be clarified. Let me just read from the Cambridge Dictionary what they explain as being a referendum. Being a vote in which the people in the country or an area are asked to give their opinion about or decide an important political or social question. And they gave an example, e.g., a referendum was held on the question whether the UK should remain a member of the European Union or not. Now, the reason, Conrad Lehman, the reason I read this portion is because there is an audio out there sent out by Dr. Sacco where he wrongly states that a referendum is only used in the case of a country seeking to be independent. That is what he said in that audio. That a referendum is only used when a people are seeking to be independent. That is false here, because if that were the case, then the EU would not have used a referendum to decide whether or not to be in the European Union or not, because the EU is already an independent state. Isn't that true? Chairman Jackson, I want you to take on this, because this is what Dr. Sacco is out there saying, some really very misleading things to confuse our people as to what a referendum is. Chairman Jackson, your take on this, please. Chairman Jackson there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you
Did
hear
you
me?
get my question? Because
No, say it again.
Dr. Sacco is out there saying that a referendum is only used in the case where people are seeking to be independent. And I said that is wrong, because we remember the UK used a referendum to determine whether or not they have to remain in the European Union. But the UK was already an independent country. If a referendum were only used in the case where people are seeking to be independent, then the UK would not have used it. So it's a misleading statement to confuse people into thinking that a referendum should not be applicable in our case, since it is considered that we are already independent. That statement is misleading, isn't it? I don't know if he's lost his mic again.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. All right. I can hear you now.
Yes. Yeah, let us use this opportunity today to clarify and let anybody in Ambazonia and the whole world that is listening to us today understand one thing. What Sako is saying is completely false. First of all, in his audios, there are so many out there. I don't know why he's making so many audios today. He's more of
An
um,
activist.
an activist today
But
than
he's
whatever.
an activist. He's no longer a
Yeah, he
leader, so
was.
he's.
He started an activist. So he's saying that nobody has promised us a referendum, and nobody even said that we have been promised a referendum. He brings out these things that nobody talked about and make as if somebody is talking about to confuse the masses. Now, the issue of a referendum that we need today is because we have a truncated independence that was granted to us. So, a referendum is granted for people to make a political decision. And this is one of the political decisions for us to make if we want to continue to stay where the truncated referendum took us to, or the truncated independence took us to, or we stay separate today as Ambazonia. That is a very, very serious thing to do. And for somebody to come here and say, no, we don't need a referendum. How else do you give the power to the people to decide for themselves? First of all, it is advantageous to the international community and friends of Cameroon who wants to help solve the problem in Cameroon to say, okay, let us throw these things back to the masses to decide for themselves, because it is appropriate for individuals to determine their liberation, how they want to be self-governed. So Now, if somebody comes today to tell the world and Ambazonia that a referendum is, we don't need it, that is a lie. That we had an independence, if we had an independence, why are we fighting today? It is because that independence was truncated. So
Mhm.
we need a way now to complete what wasn't completed. And by the way, the detail of every decision we take is always in, I mean, the devil in every decision we take is always in the details, which means that if we are having a referendum, it is the details, what is going to be put in the referendum that will matter. And I don't want anybody to run ahead of the whole decision to say that, oh, La Republic is going to organize it. No, a referendum of this nature, which is political, is supposed to be, is going to be guided by international community, because
Chairman Jackson, hold your thought there. We will get to that. We'll get to who is going to organize it later. Dr. Kwambe,
okay,
one thing that we have heard. I don't know if Comrade Franklin is back. Is he back? Is
could you
Comrade
s-
Franklin there?
could you send in the new link? There's a new link you can send to him. I will send it
Yeah.
to you.
Okay.
Oh, he's here.
Okay. That's great. Comrade Franklin is back. Good to have you back, sir. Let me bring this your way. We have had some people saying that no, we should just concentrate with negotiations. We should just go with negotiations. But my question is this: given our track record of negotiating, where we sat in Swiss for 3 good years. For 3 good years, we were in Switzerland, and we left there with nothing. Then, for just of recent, we were in Canada. We spent some months there, came back empty-handed. You know, growing up, I know we all played soccer, which back home we call football. And I think the most humiliating dribble that you can have is to have the ball pass in between your legs, which is called inzolo. Uh, I would say that twice La Republic has called us inzolo, and during these so-called negotiations, because we have not demonstrated that we understand what negotiations are all about. Our track record looks abysmal. We look like amateurs out there in terms of negotiations because we rush there without enough preparations. Even when we get there, we are not vigilant enough to see what is going on because we sat in Switzerland for 3 good years. We were just waiting for La Republic to come to the table. But not once did they come forth to even acknowledge that they were having a negotiation with us. So, given this track record, Comrade Franklin, and the insistence with some people that we must go by negotiation, do we have a track record to count on that shows that we are capable of negotiating well and bringing to the Brazilian people the freedom that they
Well,
need?
exactly, man.
Comrade Franklin.
Well,
Comrade Franklin, are you there? I don't know. Comrade Franklin, I saw you. You were on momentarily. Um, if not, Dr. Kwambe, can you take on it while he gets back? He was on just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, Don Mike, you know, these people who are, because we had this conversation about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the last time where I was on. For those people who are talking about this thing of negotiations, I don't think there's anybody who is in support of this internationally supervised referendum as an option, right? Is saying that negotiations aren't going to be had. So it's just people are just trying to change the narrative. People who are just using this negotiation line, they are just trying to muddy the water to put Ambazonians in a situation where we are not prepared for the inevitable.
Mhm.
This conflict is ultimately going to be, laid to rest, concluded with the negotiation, but a referendum is also going to be part of that process. International precedents in other countries dictates it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Mm-hmm.
About it.
Yeah.
And did I freeze?
Yeah, you were frozen.
If we defeat La Republic of Cameroon on the battlefield and we get to the negotiation table and they're like, Massa, I beg, when I go, when I don't bleed we up, when I don't bleed we too much, our economy is down, this and that, when I go. That is a good sign, right? Because the international community will say, as part of the treaty, we see La Republique du Cameroun is accepting that these people are a sovereign, independent nation. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the international community is also going to want to be sure that our people are in support of those of us and those in Ground Zero who want an Ambazonian free and sovereign state. And what are they going to do to gauge and measure the temperature of the people back home to see if they want this state? If they want these particular set of people who are going to take over and have a Ambazonia free of La Republique du Cameroun, they're going to conduct a referendum. That's what they're going to do. It's going to be part of the process. Now, if we, for some unfortunate reason, end up in a stalemate with La Republique du Cameroun, the human crisis is out of control, people are fleeing left and right, we've properly lobbied all the international stakeholders who have seen that La Republique du Cameroun is not a partner of good faith in negotiations, because after all, they have dodged the Swiss process, they have dodged the Canada pre-talks, what do they call it? The national conversation. What do they call that thing that they were doing where it was just a conversation between CPDM elites? That thing that they did, is just
grand dialogue, whatever they call it.
Grand National Dialogue, Grand CPDM Dialogue, whatever they called it, right? The international community recognizes all these things as just cosmetic dressings, that La Republique du Cameroun is just playing games. So once you take all these things into consideration, the international community is going to do exactly like what they did in South Sudan and even in Yugoslavia and in some other places. They're going to start to put pressure on La Republique du Cameroun that you all have killed too many people. This thing is protracted. And they're going to force everybody to the negotiating table. And when you get to that negotiating table, Ambazonians can be there. They're going to be what is most of us expect to happen is that Ambazonians, we're going to come together and we're going to find the experts who are going to go and handle the negotiation process for us. I mean, even Comrade Chris has talked about this. So if we have to recap about it, that part will be there. So they're going to and we're still going to end up in a referendum. We're still going to end up there.
Let me go back to Comrade Lehman and ask Comrade Lehman again. I will double down on this question. Given our performance this far, when it comes to negotiations, can you honestly say that our people have demonstrated any brilliance, competence when it comes to negotiations? Because when it comes to negotiations, especially the one that just ended in Canada, because people were just tripping over each other to rush to the negotiation table and sit there and say, oh, I'm at the negotiation table on behalf of Ambazonia. But there was no preparations towards that gathering they had there. They didn't even consult each other. They just got there and started scratching their heads and wondering, okay, what do we do now? I mean, is that a winning strategy for Ambazonia when it comes to negotiations? Are these people competent enough to handle that responsibility? I think your mic is off. I don't know what is going on with these mics today.
But can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to thank you for giving me back the speech. So if you had given me a little minute, I would have landed and our people would have understood clearly why we need a referendum. The problem is, even before the performance in Canada, there is a lot of ignorance around the issue of a referendum. It is our inalienable right. And if we don't look at it from that aspect, we're going to politicize it. It's going to be an issue of one group accepting it, another group rejecting it. So I think in light with, so in light with what is going on, we have people saying they want negotiations. And now I just want to highlight to them, just for us to understand that negotiations is part of the referendum. It's not like you can put referendum away and then you separate it from negotiations. What is supposed to happen is our people will meet with a third party and La République, like they did in Canada or in Switzerland. The role was for our people to present why they are fighting and what it would take for them to stop fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if we had understood the context of a referendum, we would have understood that it came in the context of our people invoking their right to self-determination, which is an inalienable human right, because our country, which we went into a union with La République, was subjugated since 1972. And our people have the right to decide if they want to stay in that situation or to restore their sovereign state. It is not a political issue alone. It is a legal remedy for our people who have been trapped in this injustice for time immemorial. So, real quick, the summary is simple. For our people to go to negotiations, we should remember that there are international norms that you must meet. First of all, you must have the competence. You must have the mandate of your people to negotiate on their behalf. You must have the legitimacy to sign documents on behalf of 8 million Ambazonians. Now, the question I want to ask our people who are rushing to say that they want negotiations to have an independence, how can you negotiate for the sovereignty of a nation? You don't have the mandate, you don't have the legitimacy or the competence. So we can only go for a ceasefire talks. And then when we go for ceasefire talks, we will not present the package that for us to go to a ceasefire, you guys must accept to withdraw your troops. And the withdrawal will be backed by the UN peacekeeping forces. And we will set a timetable for our people to come out and vote in a self-determination vote. How, if you choose to call it plebiscite, that's fine. You choose to call it referendum, that is fine. But the vote is going to be called a self-determination vote for our people to decide if they want to restore their sovereignty or not. That is how easy it is. So when people say they want negotiation, all I try to explain to them that negotiations is part of a referendum. Thank you very much.
Of course, and I like the way you landed there, because one of the falsehoods that has been spread out there is that people who want a referendum are against negotiations, which is completely wrong. It is just wrong. We have said a referendum, calling for a referendum does not mean we have to reject negotiations. They go together, actually, as you rightly said. They go together. Chairman Jackson, one of the falsehoods that has been spread out there again is the fact that those who are calling for a referendum are tired and they are lazy and they don't want to fight anymore. So my question to you is this, Chairman Jackson. Does the pursuit of a referendum imply the abandonment of our resistance on the ground? Does it mean that, oh, he's not there, Chairman Jackson is not there, he's not on his seat? Okay, all right, he's back now. Does the pursuit of a referendum imply the abandonment of our resistance on the ground? Is that what, does it mean that those of us calling for a referendum have said, okay, hands up, wave the white flag? Is that what it means?
Not at all. That is the false narrative that some individuals are spreading out there. And I heard a couple of audios since the inception of this thing, and I'm wondering why are they so forcefully coming out to criticize and lie. We can hold a meaningful debate if these individuals are even telling the truth. Nobody has said that they're going to stop resistance. Actually, the word out there in the street is that they have to double down the resistance. Why they pursue this referendum, which is normally one of the route to whatever they want, whatever we want, which is independence. But now, if I see people saying that, oh, a referendum means that they're going to cease fire, they're going to stop fighting, who said it? Nobody said that. And again, like I started today by saying that they forcefully bring out narratives that nobody is saying to justify their argument. Nobody has said there's going to be a ceasefire. And they're asking question, who is going to supervise? Where is it going to go? No, these things just is the beginning. It is the beginning. And nobody has put anything out there to the best of my knowledge, that they are going to withdraw because there's a referendum. And it just beats my imagination. And it flashes in the face of logic that you're going to start a process and then you withdraw from what you have, then you'll be going there at a very weak position, which means you are not even going to anywhere. So
Okay.
please, I want everybody to understand that that story is not true and it will never be true. It's a lie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for that's why I asked that question so you can clarify it so our viewers can understand that that narrative is completely false. The call for a referendum does not mean that we have to stop fighting. No, we have to double down and even increase the firepower. Now, even while
And
the
if I
call
may
for
add,
if those
if I
who
may
have
add,
not heard it from us before, hear it now. We are calling for an increase in firepower even as we call for a referendum. That is what we are saying. And the funniest thing, I don't know if Comrade Franklin is back. Comrade Franklin, are you back? Because I'd like for you to take on this, because the people who are calling for this, who are making these statements, are not known themselves to be actively engaged in increasing the firepower on the ground. On the contrary, there are some of them who actually go out and disarm our genuine ARFs, seize their weapons, imprison them, torture them, sometimes strip some of them and walk them naked on the street. And then they turn around and they accuse the people who are actually doing the fighting that they are lazy. Dr. Ngwambe, what's your take on this?
Well, your time, like my take on those people, if those who are not actively engaged in making La Republic pay the price of occupation, who are not making it very expensive in Ambazonia for La Republic du Cameroon to continue to subjugate us, you're not helping the situation, because by not with you not making sure that the work that needs to be done is done, that means the pressure, the screws tightening on La Republic. By you not doing that, you're not even going to make and enable us to get to the negotiations that you are purportedly, trying to make it seem is not going to happen before we get to the referendum. So, as we all know, all options are still on the table. When you know what a Venn diagram is. I'm sure all of you who out there, you know what a Venn diagram is. When you draw a Venn diagram and you talk about negotiations and referendum, the circles that include, they all intersect with that of our self-defense option. They all overlap each other. I don't see any Venn diagram where the kinetic activities that we're engaged in are exclusively separate from the other avenues that are also available on the table. So all these people who are trying to mislead are people who are trying to misrepresent the facts, and who all they're known for doing is just lying and perpetrating false narratives on people. They're going to keep doing what they're going to do, and we who know what is up, and we who know what is there, and we who are living in the real world, not living in theoretical debates, not living in academic debates, we are the ones who are charged with making sure our people are properly informed. And my fellow Ambazonians, those who love Ambazonia, those who want us to be independent, a referendum is in our horizon, and the negotiation is going to be part of the process that is going to get us there. And the only way we get to even those two is because we have put so much pain on La Republic du Cameroon, in addition to our international lobbying. That's what's going to make all of this possible. So everything is on the table. Don't let people fool you. It's all on the table. And I even want to let me go on a little further, because it seems as if Tom Mike may be indisposed.
All right, I'm back now. I'm back now. Yes, let me go to Comrade Lehman. Uh, Comrade Canada, just hold on there 1 minute. Let me give the let me give the up the let me give the mic to Comrade Lehman, and I will get back to you shortly. Just hold on there 1 minute. Comrade Lehman, one of the false statements that have been made out there is the fact that um, the referendum will be organized by La République du Cameroon. And that because of that, since they have a rigging system, which we all know that La République will simply do what we know they do best, and we will be one Cameroon forever. Tell Ambazonians who exactly will organize this referendum for them to choose to decide their destiny. Who is supposed to do that?
Thank you, comrade. Thanks for that question. So I'm just gonna go straight to the point. The referendum generally will be organized by Ambazonians and the international community. It does not involve La République du Cameroon. So anything somebody says out of that is scare tactics and a lie. So I'm gonna be upfront about it. The reason is simple. The right to self-determination is for Ambazonians to decide amongst themselves what direction to take. It has nothing to do with La République or UN. UN is just there to supervise and make sure that everything goes legally, democratically, without intervention from a foreign nation or La République. The UN is there to make sure that La République is not involved. So I want our people to understand that and let it stay there. Anybody who says the contrary is telling lies. Thank you.
Thank you for that simple and straight to the point answer there, Comrade Lehman. And let me add this, fellow Ambazonians listening. If there is any inkling of any doubt that there will be complete avoidance of La République in any aspect of the referendum, if we Ambazonians have any notion that La République will be involved in any form or shape, we will be out of it. We will not have anything to do with it because we know their track record of rigging elections. We know even just standing there and watching, we have to be very ambivalent about it because their eyes may steal the vote. Even their eyes may steal the vote. So we'll be very ambivalent with them just being around the vote. So I want you to understand this. La République will have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the conduct of the election, the organization of the election, the announcement of the vote, nothing to do with it. So I want you to be very clear about that, to understand that. Dr. Ngwambe, or maybe I should go to Chairman Jackson. One other thing that has been thrown out there is, what form of identification will be used to select or to register voters? What form of identification? La République will simply flood the place with their fake ID cards and we ghost voters and will come and stop the ballots and it will be over. I want us to clarify how this is going to be done. Chairman Jackson is not there. Maybe Dr. Ngwambe, you can take on that.
Well, Mike and Comrade Lehman.
I'm here.
Oh, all right, Chairman Jackson. I didn't see you, so I thought you were. All right, go ahead. Check on it.
Yeah. So the international. This is not the Ambazonian or Southern Cameroons having a referendum. It's not a new thing in the world structures. And for people to throw it out there, what form of identity or going to use, these are things that they come up when it's agreed that the referendum is going to take place, and you don't think that the persons, the institutions that will be responsible with the supervision and organization, they will determine how they're going to I mean, these are things that will be factored in before a referendum is done. There
It
is
will be part
no
of the
way.
modalities. Yeah, it will be part of the
Yes, that is
modalities.
going to be
Yes.
part of the modalities. Let me just retrogress a little bit because there is a false narrative that people are asking the question: why talking about referendum? Who has even given you a referendum? That is a good question. The thing is this: the Hudson Institute, the communique is out there with representatives from foreign dignitaries and countries came together and gave a
Not
proposal.
forgetting the U.S. Senate.
That's why I just bundled them together.
Yeah.
I want people to listen to me very clearly. They came together and called Ambazonians leaders to come together and make an offer. Since you guys are so disunited out there, can you unite on this one factor to get a referendum? And they all say yes. Going forward, it is for us to demonstrate that we want this referendum and we are ready for it. Now they will set the procedures and modalities for a referendum. I don't want to hear people go out and say, who has even given us a referendum that you are talking about a referendum? Yes, there is an institution, there are bodies out there that have proposed a way to solve this wanton killing that is going on in Ambazonia. And for somebody to stand up today and say we should continue to fight, forgetting how many lives we've lost, how people are suffering in Cameroon, how families are chafing with no food, it is very, very inhumane. And so, if we have this opportunity and we see that everybody is rallying around it, it means it's an initiative that we should try. But it is not only the only one initiative we have to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Jackson. And let me follow through there and say this. For those who are bringing up those arguments, and in terms of the identity, forms of identification, as we've said, the modalities, there's something called the modalities. That means the conditions that will be agreed upon before the referendum is both parties, including the international community, will agree on what the conditions will be going into the referendum. And the forms of identification will be part of the modalities. They may decide that, okay, since we don't trust the La Republic of Cameroon ID cards, we'll use your birth certificate. We use your birth certificate or other forms of identification. Maybe the local leaders may have to determine who is who. Whatever form that will make sure that only genuine 100% Ambazonians take part in that vote. That is what will be done to achieve it. So this idea of identification, please disregard it. It's just a distraction by those who are against this idea for reasons that are purely personal or for their own self-aggrandizement, because there are some individuals in this struggle who have dictatorial tendencies, and they see the revolution, the referendum as a democratic process that will not allow them to impose themselves on the people. That is why they are against it. Not because they don't think it's a good option, but because it will not allow them to impose their will on the people. Now, Dr. Ngwambe, one of the things that has been asked severally. Okay, let me take Comrade Candida. I cannot resist you this time. So please go ahead and make your contribution before we continue. Are you there?
Yes, thank you very much. The reason why I'm insisting is because some you probably change the discussion.
Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you 5 on 5.
Yes. The reason why I'm insisting is because I just want to hit the nail on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any conflict on planet Earth that requires a referendum, is the Ambazonian or Southern Cameroonian conflict. I mean, on planet Earth.
Okay.
Let me explain why.
Mm-hmm.
We have been quoting Sudan, Eritrea, East Timor. But you know what? They don't even need a referendum like us. We need a referendum more than these three conflicts. I explain why.
Okay.
One, even amongst us Ambazonia, we're in three camps.
Mm-hmm.
You have the independentists, you have the federalists, you have the unionists. So if they go on a negotiation and say, okay, we separate Cameroon today, the federalists will wage a war that we don't want to separate Cameroon. The unionists will wage a war. So the only arbitration in these three people is a referendum.
Okay.
Okay, now you go to the power brokers, which are the allies. The international community is structured in such a way that all the countries are allies to each other. Okay. America or Britain will not come and say, oh, we are separating Southern Cameroon because 1961 we made a mistake. They will be stepping on the toes of France. They will be stepping on the toes of Germany. They will step on the toes of Norway or Denmark. At the end of the day, they cannot lose their allied power because of a small country called Ambazonia. They will not.
Yeah.
So, to get this off their back, they take it to a referendum so that tomorrow it will be that the Ambazonia people decided it was not America, it was not Britain. And they continue doing their business as allies without having infringing or stepping on the toes of each other.
I think you have a point there. I think you have a point.
Yeah.
You have a point there.
If America comes together and say, oh, Ambazonia was taken in 1961, it has to be a separate state. France will start agitating. Britain will start agitating. Australia will start agitating. They see this. And they don't reach to fight among themselves because of the small country called Ambazonia. So they have to throw it back to the Ambazonia people. Take a decision so that tomorrow our backs are free. That's
Okay.
the whole thing. So we need a referendum more than any conflict on planet Earth. Thank you.
Thank you for that point there, Comrade Candida. I think you have a fair point because Comrade Franklin I'm glad you are back in. Like Comrade Candida has said there, we know that we have geopolitical alliances where the U.S. with France and so on, but that gives maybe the U.S. a chance to say, we did not push this; it is their people who made the choice through a referendum. Instead of the U.S. coming in and insisting that, okay, we should restore these people's independence. And France would be angry with the U.S. saying, how dare you step on my toes like this? But if we decided through a referendum, it takes the blame off of them. What do you think about that, Colonel Franklin?
The first thing that I want to say, which I've been watching, is a confusion that people have as far as the term referendum is concerned.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, we as a people, when you don't have information and knowledge about something, you see it like a threat. Our forefathers killed their children that were albinos back in the years.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't believe a black man and a black man can give birth to such a complexity. 4 years ago, no one could even call the name Ambazonia. We were trying to say West Cameroon, Southern Cameroon. We could not even believe in self-defense. Now we got more education and see we as a people are protected to defend ourselves. The international human right to self-determination is also international human right to self-defense. Now we all have the knowledge. And now we celebrate when the Kelebes are sent to Tasata. The case of referendum is not different. And that's why I'm not even angry, is because I see how far those we have gone after 62 years to even think about doing whatever it takes to free ourselves. For 60 years, we didn't even have the courage to do that.
Yep.
Do I expect people to just wake up now and believe in referendum as if they are not the same people that took 60 years more to believe in their will to free themselves and took almost 5 years to believe in having arms to free themselves? No. So thank you so much, because now we are answering the question. More mobilization, more sensitization, and giving our people more knowledge, because knowledge is power. We talk about internationalization. Internationalization. What is that? Diplomacy. What is that? You go to somebody's house who give you asylum, give you green cards, give you citizenship abroad. The same system give you a special protected status, give you help from the government during COVID-19. And that is how the international system works. And now you want to dictate upon the same system how you, as tyrants as we are, want things to be done. Because we don't have the system. So, if I learn now, a referendum is now a way for us to prove to the world that we are not terrorists, as Cameroon said.
Mhm.
It is a way that our people are going to speak now collectively. Our people are going to speak. I want people to see my eyes when I'm saying this. Our people are going to speak collectively as one people to say yes, as Cardinal Christian Toomey say, with the statistics from the Catholic Church, that the majority says absolute independence. And if we have defeated Cameroon, why are we scared? Now, we want to go to Canada, go to Switzerland. They are also part of the United Nations. How can we prove to these people that want to recognize us that we actually want independence? They are talking about recognition. Do you know how the step it takes for the people to be recognized? Referendum is one of the biggest, and I think it's the only one that make people to be recognized. Because a country in United Nations, as you know, United Nations General Security Council was formed for balance of power and collective security, meaning any member state I caught cannot destabilize another country, especially the one that's a member state. But a referendum is a will of a people. Because when I talked 5 years ago to the United Nations ambassador, he told me it takes a people in a particular geographical location to determine their faith. Even inside a country, one city can decide to be independent if the people stand up. That's why you have some country inside UK, one inside South Africa.
Mhm.
So Ambazonian people, for you to seal the dot now, you have the military. It took how many years for you to believe that referendum is a way now for us to showcase we have the arm, we have this, our people now. We want to tell you that our people are with us 99%. If we are doubting, then we are hypocrite to ourselves, and the things we say is not true and honest.
Yep.
It is time for us now to break the oath. When we have the arm, which Cameroon had bombs, they have tanks, they have everything. We were not scared. We did what it took to do that. Why are you scared now by Cameroon? Failed and dying system, political system that will not be able to rig. You are trying to tell the world that we are weak. We are now bigger politicians than Cameroon. We know how to campaign our people. Our people are on our side. So those who are attacking independence, they are attacking themselves. Those who are attacking referendum, they are attacking themselves. But also referendum is a way of internationalization, recognition. The United Nations, if that happens, means they now know our problem. We don't even need to go and protest again for them to see. Secondly, when they call for referendum, what are the stages? Ceasefire. If they ceasefire and you have all your materials in, even if referendum fail, all of you gone people, this is a call from God to you. Bring everything you have when they ceasefire. If it doesn't work, you will have the upper power now because you have already put more firepower. Is it not a way for our people to rekindle the growing flame? If you think positive, optimistic as a people, for everything that happened, we are going to emerge victorious.
Okay.
How can I?
Yeah, that thank you there, Comrade Franklin. Thank you there for making that passionate plea. I hope that those Ambazonians are listening to you and taking in the message that you are giving there, because like you rightly said, there are more marginalized people have freed themselves through a referendum than any other system. A referendum has been used to free many more marginalized people than any other system, not a plebiscite. So people should understand, we are not the only ones adopting. Several other marginalized people have freed themselves with the use of a referendum. We are just following the footsteps of those who have gone before us. And talking about allowing us to speak collectively. For so long, the diaspora has spoken on behalf of Ground Zero. We have made decisions on their behalf, and some of those decisions we have made have impacted them negatively. Yes. I think it is time for us to let Ground Zero speak. It is time for us to allow Ground Zero to speak. Instead of us imposing a will on them every time, let Ground Zero speak too now. Comrade Lehman, don't you agree with this? Isn't it up to Ground Zero now to make the decision as well?
Yeah, definitely, Comrade Mark. I think I really want to thank Vela Franklin for that passionate delivery. And I still want to also thank you for this opportunity. You see, the diaspora have been trying their best. We need to remember that we did not plan for this war. Nobody planned to be fighting. The Republic declared a war on us when we were not prepared. That said, the referendum gives not just ground zero the opportunity, it gives all Ambazonians worldwide. And give me a minute, let me state this, please. Don't cut me off. The first thing I want Ambazonians to understand that is that once we go to a ceasefire negotiation as we went to Canada, but this time as one people, we will be given, when we negotiate, we are given a timetable for the referendum. It's not something that will happen immediately. Within that period, it will allow our people to exist as an autonomous territory by themselves. That will allow our people from diaspora to return. That will allow refugees to come back, internally displaced people to come back. Like that, all of us will be able to vote. Not only Ground Zero will be voting in an exclusive referendum. All Ambazonians, as long as you can prove, based on the agreements we're going to take with La République and the international community, these are standards. It's not something we're going to reinvent. There are standards that apply to all referendums. So it is for all our people to exercise that right to self-determination. The diaspora, those on Ground Zero, and the refugees will have that opportunity to all decide. So it is an initiative we all should support. That is why we call it the right to self-determination. Thank you.
Thank you, there, Comrade Lehman. Following on the point you just raised there are some who have said that, and I would like Dr. Ngwambe to take on this case, because recently, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, we had an audio from this guy called Panelist, who was asking, okay, who is going to supervise the elections on Ground Zero? Are we going to allow La Republic to supervise the elections? Oh, Dr. Ngwambe, how can you say this? So, Dr. Ngwambe, this question is coming your way. What will be the role of the diaspora before, during, and after the referendum? What will the diaspora do during this period? Before, during, and after, what will be the role of the diaspora community?
So, the sad thing about all this is that when I listened to Comrade Paul Long's audio, I was dismayed because he is trying, to me, it came across to me as if he was trying to portray our brothers and sisters in Ground Zero as people who don't have any opinions, don't have any political thought, don't have any motivation, don't have any education, or don't have any mind of their own. That's what I came across when I listened to that audio.
It was very condescending. It was very condescending on his part. Yeah.
It was very condescending. I mean, Tom Mike, my brother Lehman, Chairman Frank, and my brother Verla Franklin, are we in the diaspora, the people who went to the streets first, pressing La Republique du Cameroon to accept first federalism, and then now we're at this independent stage? Was that us? Were we the ones who did that? That staging happened from Ground Zero. It was organic. Like my brother Verla Franklin just pointed out here, our people have been talking about restoring the statehood of Southern Cameroons for the past 60-something years. We essentially, what we in the diaspora did was because we saw the kind of atrocities that were being committed against our people back in Ground Zero. We said, you know what, let us take this pressure off of you so that you all aren't targeted, you aren't picked up by La Republique du Cameroon and killed so easily. Like, that's all we did. So when some few funny people in the diaspora act like that, the people in Ground Zero do not have a political thought of their own, that they are not educated enough, that they do not have the motivation and the desire to be independent, then that shows how disconnected those people are from what Ambazonians have been asking for the past 60-something plus years. Yes. It is really disgusting. Look, we in the diaspora, we have been playing our part, right? We've been helping to finance. We've been trying to do the international mobilization. We've been trying to do the education. We've been knocking on doors. We're going to still continue to do that part. When it comes to the referendum, we are going to just go down to Ground Zero and go and help our brothers in Ground Zero to do what they need to do, because this is coming from them. It is not just us. Ground zero is us, and we are ground zero. To act as if this thing is only a diaspora thing, Paul Nilong is falling into the language of La Republique du Cameroon by propagating that false narrative. And it's unfortunate that he is falling in this sort of it's very unfortunate.
Dr. Wabe, you know what? These people, when they say these things, I understand where they're coming from. Because you remember that their man, Sako, is a guy who does not leave his house. It's a guy who is afraid of his own shadow. He will get up in the morning, see his own shadow, and jump. That's how he is. That's how scared he is. That's why he will not come out of his house to go out and even demonstrate with his fellow comrades. So when they talk about going down to ground zero, they don't like. Sako is not going to do that. He will not go down. But I hope Paul Nelong is listening. Paul Nelong, if you are listening, say, I'm from Bafut. When a referendum is granted to the people of the Southern Cameroons, a pathway will be created for those in the diaspora to go and help with the organization of our people. Yep. We have to go and help them organize. We will not leave it up to La Republique colonial administrators. You can't sit out here and wait for someone else to do the job for you. You have to go there and assume that responsibility, help your people organize, register them, help to supervise the election. I will be there in Bafut doing it. I hope you'll be there wherever you come from doing it. I hope Paul is listening. That is what I will do. I don't know if
let me add one. Let me add one thing. Let me add one because there was one topic I wanted to cover. This issue of discussing why are we talking about this now. My brother's on camera with me. You all can all appreciate that when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All when I did for if when I know be the job, when I know be the study fine before when I enter exam, when I fulfill that exam, no. You don't enter into an exam empty-headed. We have to plan now. Those of us who are from the IG, we knew that there was supposed to be an election 2 years after Dr. Sako was inaugurated. What happened? We didn't plan for it. And guess what? When we didn't plan for it, what did Dr. Sako and his enablers do? They came up with all kind of funny conversations, calling people coup plotters, all kinds of nonsense. And that's our fault because we did not plan. We knew that thing and we did not plan for it, the modalities for it to be done. And then you want us to go and do the exact same thing again. Let me finish. Look at Fumban. It is in history that our brother PM Ndele did not disclose the constitution that Ahijo gave to him to his brothers on the Ambazonian side, the Southern Cameroonian side. So when they went to Fumban, what happened? They were unprepared and we messed up. So my fellow Ambazonians, do you all want to go there unprepared again for this referendum, which we know is going to come? Do you all want to do that? Because Dr. Sako and his surrogate said so.
What about the negotiations that have been going on? What about the negotiations they've been running about? Do they prepare for the negotiations? That is why La Republique is able to dribble them each time they go there, because they don't sit down and plan on what to do when they get there. They're tripping over each other just to go there and say, oh, I'm the one sitting here. But what, you're sitting there to talk about what? You don't know. You have no clue. And yet you want to represent the whole people. I don't know if Chairman Jackson is there. And after that, I'll give the mic to Comrade Franklin to follow up on this. Chairman Jackson, if you are there, I want to hear your thought on this, please.
You mean on the propaganda from the Sako faction?
Yes. On this false notion that it's only the diaspora. They're treating Ground Zero as if they are just vessels that need to be filled with water. You know.
You see, Chairman, we keep making the same mistakes all the time. The people who are directly affected on every day, 24/7, are the people on Ground Zero. And the diaspora is only coming in here as an auxiliary to help facilitate the end of this conflict for the betterment of our people and the freedom of our people. For anyone to come and say that the people on ground zero has no stake and have no say in this, that is an insult to people that have gone through enough insult, humiliation. And who told them that the diaspora has to decide single-handedly for those on ground zero? And I believe the people on ground zero, they are knowledgeable enough, and we know what they do. They are listening to our voices. People that have run out of people that have run out of options come here today to tell us that the referendum is not the way forward. Negotiation is the way forward. I'm asking the question: the negotiation we started in Swiss, where is it today? In Switzerland. And the one they went to Canada, where is it today? And which one are they going to next? La République has proven to us that they can never commit. They can never commit to anything. That is why it is important to bring a third party, which is the international community, that they offer us this opportunity to compel them to do it. For someone to sit and, first of all, let's go back to this activist thing. I'm happy that the activist Vela Franklin is here. I love you, my brother. I'm happy that you guys are speaking with one voice now. But it is incumbent for you guys to put all your activists on check. Because the information they are sending out, the insults and denigration of our people they are putting out is not helping us. You heard what Comrade Kennedy said here earlier. The international community are soon getting tired of us because you have people that sit behind their Android phones and spill out all sort of misinformation to our people. Ground zero, at the end of the day, to answer your question, Chairman Mike, at the end of the day, this war shall be decided by ground zero and on ground zero. It will never be decided by us here in the diaspora. Thank you.
Okay. I'll pass the opportunity to Comrade Franklin. You've been following the same on the same question. When we look at the way some of our people have treated Ground Zero as just these empty vessels that ought to be filled with water, they ought to be told what to do, despite the fact that they are the ones on the ground. They are the ones carrying this revolution. I'm not saying that what we're doing out here, supporting them, financing them, and all that is not important, but we can't just treat them, their own opinion, as if it doesn't count. Their opinion matters. And I actually believe that at this point where we have demonstrated our inability to even carry out the negotiations that some of us are talking about, we have not demonstrated a mastery of the art of negotiation. We have not. I think it is time for us to give Ground Zero a chance to make their own voices heard. And I want to hear what you think about it and how we should go about it.
Thank you so much, Comrade Mike. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. I came from Ground Zero. I belong to Ground Zero, and I shall always be for Ground Zero. It started from Ground Zero, and it will always end in Ground Zero. We in diaspora are a subset of the people in Ground Zero. We are a subset. We are like little drops of water in an ocean, and the drops of water cannot claim to be more powerful than an ocean. So the people in Ground Zero respect you. You are talking about people being killed on the ground, the ones sacrificing their lives, the soldiers in Ground Zero. La Republic never went to US and killed anybody, not in Germany, not in Europe, not anywhere. How come that somebody speak from Africa, especially those of us in America, we thought that we are the most powerful when we are the weakest because we ran away? Like you said, it is only and only in Ground Zero we shall end, because when we want independence, it's for that geographical location, that piece of land. It's not for me in Texas or me in Washington, D.C. or Florida or in UK. It is for people in Ground Zero. We have to take that ethnocentrism, first of all, to think that Africa is dark. Because charity begins at home. And we believe we are always angry in the world where Western people try to look us like we are inferior people. And we think that Africa is great. Charity begins at home. Fellow Ambazonians, fellow brethren, my fellow compatriots, brothers and sisters. If charity begins at home, then the most intelligent, smart, and gorgeous people are from Ambazonia. From Purawa to Anyajwa, from Indian to Donga and Mantu. These are the most brave people. They don't run away like me and you. We are the weakest people. And I want to be honest, I'm one of the weak people. That's why I say I stand behind Ground Zero. When we see the FM No Peace, when we see the Free March, when we see all these people, when we see Chacha, we are happy for their action because they're in Ground Zero. How many Ekelebes have I sent to Tanzania? Even if I call myself the Major General of the world, I'm still weak. So diaspora charity begins at home. Let us respect Ground Zero because that's where we all came from. Our placentas are there. How can you point your father's heaven? Now, they're not on activists. And everyone who misunderstood, because activists had points more than 5, 6. And it's only one point that politicians pick from there to manipulate to suit their own political gains. Did they tell you, Amazonian people, that the first thing activists are telling the EU to tell the United Nations General Assembly is recognition? To recognize you because you were a free people. Do the people, the politicians that want to manipulate you only against referendum, tell you that in that list of activists that the first thing they tell the EU, European Union, to tell United Nations is to recognize you because you are a people? Secondly, are they telling you that they are asking the EU to table your case officially before the United Nations General Assembly? Are they telling you in that chapter 2 that they are asking the United Nations to implement resolution 1514 of the 14th December 1960, which granted all the colonial territory independence?
Okay.
All these politicians, that was 2.2 sub A. And in sub B, are they telling you that they are asking the United Nations to respect the majority? The majority vote on April 21st, 1961, granting independence to the Southern Cameroon, as in Resolution 1608. Are they telling you that this is just a sub-point under number 2 that activists presented? In number 3, 2 sub C, are they telling you that they ask the United Nations, the EU to ask the United Nations to deploy the peacekeeping force to come and help our mama and papa them? Let me talk in Pidgin a little bit. Mama and papa them, all our people from Ground Zero, where they fight for protect them, they are not political. In 2 sub D, are they telling you that the activists ask the European Union to tell Cameroon, La Republic to Cameroon terrorists, to demilitarize, to remove all their terrorist forces from our land?
Okay.
These politicians do that? No. I go to E. Are they telling you diplomacy? All of us believe in diplomacy. The triad approach, the this approach, diplomacy. Are they telling you that the activists took this to the EU to tell the EU to make diplomacy to the United Nations, since it's the body of the world, to tell them about the terrorist activities in the Gulf of Guinea, which Cameroon is perpetrating on the people of Ambazonia that are innocent? No. Let me go faster. Are they even telling you about the African Constitutive Act 4B, by respecting the boundaries of the people, that activists went to tell EU to go and tell United Nations to let Cameroon respect their boundaries that they got from their own independence, 1st January 1960? No. Point number 3, to support and facilitate an international negotiation between the Republic and Cameroon. All our leaders we heard, they are talking about negotiation. And activists go on behalf of all Amazonian people and all the groups. They went to Switzerland, they went to Canada. It's a bipolar. 2 of them, they went to Swiss, some went to Canada to ask for negotiation. Activists went to tell the European Union, tell the United Nations that our people are talking now. They all want negotiation. And activists, we carry the voice of the people. We have come to tell you to listen to all Amazonian leaders, to all Amazonian people for that negotiation. Politicians are not telling you that. Number 4, to pressure La Republic to Cameroon to accept UN-sponsored organized referendum. A referendum.
piece of information to prove to the world that you all Ambazonian people want independence. Are we scared? It will not be sponsored by La Republique. La Republique an aggressor. You know, in international law, La Republique an aggressor. We are the defender. We have the case. Our lawyer is not La Republique. La Republique is a terrorist, is the aggressor, and La Republique cannot sponsor anything. That's why we are asking the UN, because UN peacekeeping squad that we have asked for what? UN will sponsor it because it's an international mediation. As you all leaders are talking about negotiation. When you go to the negotiation table, the international community will tell you, how do we prove that you and your people are right? That's why it will come to this, and then we will have mediation. What's mediation? Now the people have voted for it now. Let's mediate now to see how to settle ourselves, exchange of prisoners, how much billions Cameroon have to pay to us. Because everyone in Amazonia will have billions because Cameroon subjugated us to this painful path.
Of course, of course.
Mediation. Chapter 5. To impose political and economic sanctions on Paul Biya and La Republique.
Okay.
It is carried to the EU on your behalf to immediately dismiss La Republique to Cameroon from the Commonwealth of all nations. Are these leaders telling you, Amazonian people? That's where activists nail down.
Okay, I think. All right.
So to urge the UN to authorize appropriate investigation to the human rights violation. Do you all, are you crying the pains? Your people are killed, your villages are looted, houses burned, properties, and they are asking United Nations to make all the investigation and sanction Cameroon. Are these leaders telling you, Amazonian people, last, to cause La Republique to Cameroon, to release all our prisoners of war?
Of course.
And stop intimidating our people. Are these people telling you, Amazonian people, this is why activists kneel down in Belgium? Apologize to you and say, we have heard you. We are so sorry for the blind surrogacy we did to any leader, to any group, that we are now discovering that if we come together, we are going to be bigger, like a big bundle of broom in the big compound.
All right. Amen. Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that. Amen to that. I like the last part more than anything else. You know that the others are not important, but the last part, I enjoyed that very much. Comrade Franklin, if the activists came together and they pledged to change their ways, because to be honest, as beautiful as that document is, you will agree with me that the actions of some of the activists in the past have not been very helpful in our struggle. And I hope that there was an evaluation of where you're coming from and a promise to correct as you go along. If that was done, and if they can stick to it, then Ambazonia's future is bright. I hope they do that. I really pray they do that. So thank you again very much for helping to at least enlighten us on the decisions that were made by the
Mike, let me see your time. That's why I'm here. This is already the proof.
Okay.
You will never dream I'm out like this.
Exactly. Exactly.
I come from where? From Bui. Is there peace in Bui or no? It came after negotiation, after mediation, recognizing everyone as actors without intimidating another one. Peace became finally. I realized I was part of the problem. I was part of the problem. I was standing on the wall and shooting some people. They have equal right to coexistence in that country. I cannot take it from them. When I realized that, look at peace from Bui.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate you again accepting to be part of the panel today. This is only the start of more things to happen. And I hope that more comrades will be willing to grace this panel going forward, because as we have said before, ABC TV is for Ambazonians to use to free themselves. It is not a partisan network. That's why we only talk about the ills of some comrades when we find that those ills affect the very cause we are fighting for. If not for that, we will not even bother mentioning it. But when you are doing things that are undermining the very cause that we are fighting for, then we are compelled to talk about it, or else we are irresponsible. That's why we talk about those things. Or else we are not interested in calling people's names negatively here. So thank you again for that brilliant performance again. Now, we have to finish soon so we can take some questions from the viewers. So the question I will ask next is this. we have had this concern from some people that a referendum, as good as it may sound, maybe there may be a catch there that may not be good for us, because it's something that once we are given that opportunity, we may not have the means of backing out on it once the vote is taken and it is not in our favor. So the question is, what if the election results are, or the election is rigged? That's what people always ask. What if the election is rigged and we end up losing? Then we are done for good, because we will not have a way out. Comrade Lehman, I see you smiling there. How are you going to respond to this question?
Understanding of the
Uh,
referendum process. Can you hear
yeah, go
me?
ahead. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, it's just people who say that are just clueless about the referendum process. So the referendum is an inalienable fundamental human rights, which means a territory can call it as many times as they choose. A good
Okay,
example is Scotland in the UK,
good,
who went
good.
in the referendum and somehow they voted to stay under the UK.
Mhm.
It doesn't stop them after 2 years from taking petitions and submitting it again to the government. What our people need to understand is that us coming for a referendum, calling for a referendum, please give me time, let me explain just 3 points. The first
Yes,
one,
please. Mhm.
us calling for a referendum, it takes us away from being part of the conflict to being the victims of the conflict, because we have proposed a peaceful solution and La Republic has refused and decided to bombard us. Now, the Kosovo principle can be applied when Milosevic refused to stop the war for the people of Kosovo to vote in an exclusive referendum. The UN had to bomb and stop President Milosevic from killing the other people. So
Mhm.
it gives us that age. That's just the first thing I want our people to understand. And then
Okay.
the second thing, calling for an exclusive referendum will now make the international pre-talks that we have been participating in, which will come up very soon. It must come
Mhm.
up. When it
Yeah.
comes up, we will have something to table as a package for the ceasefire.
Mhm.
And now the third thing is this. It is also going to give us a period of autonomy. During this period, Ambazonians will be able to come together, will be able to ask La Republic to withdraw their troops, and our people will prepare themselves, rebuild their house, reconstruction, build new airports for our people to come back, the refugees to come back for the exclusive referendum. It's not going to be something that is going to happen overnight. It's going to give us a timetable, might be 2, 3, 4 years. Within that time, our people will construct their lives, and then our people will understand the benefits. We'll have enough time to educate our people, and all our people will be able to come back and determine for themselves if they want to go back to that slavery or they want complete freedom. So our people uniting around an exclusive referendum is a win-win for all of us. And I beg that we don't make it a partisan issue. It is not an IG issue against a GovC issue. No, it is an Ambazonian initiative. So my goal here was to help us embrace it, that this is a chance for us all to come together and speak as one man in one voice under our nation state, which is under subjugation. Thank you very much.
I thank you there. Thank you very much, Comrade Lehman, for that response, because a lot of people have tried to completely confuse our people and say, whoa, once you vote and you lose, that is it. Fellow Ambassadors, you have heard yourself. You have heard with your own ears and you are viewing with your own eyes. Comrade Lehman has stated here, which is something that has been done in other places. That even if you should vote once and you don't succeed, you can petition and have yet another chance to vote. It's not the end of the road. It is not the end of the road. How many times has Quebec voted in Canada? They've been given a chance to vote in Canada more than once. I think it's about 3 times.
Yep.
So people should not confuse you and make you believe that once you vote once and it doesn't go your way, then you are doomed. You are not doomed. There's yet hope in the future. So don't believe all these people naysayers. And now, uh, Chairman Jackson, I don't know if he's there, but we have had these statements coming in, like what Comrade Lima just explained there. Oh, once we vote once and it doesn't go our way, then that means we'll be part of that republic forever. There's no other way out. And as Comrade Lehman has explained, what more can you say? Because I wanted to plead with us to keep the language as simple as possible for our people to understand. But luckily, I didn't even have to say it, because I think the language has been kept very simple for our people to understand what we are saying. So I don't know if we can break it down any further for our people to know. I don't know if we have to go
Yes.
pidgin or what. That even if we try once and it doesn't work, we can have yet another chance to try again.
Yes, yes. Not even talk for pigeon.
Mm.
When we go for referendum, it no mean say we no fit do am again. If you go, you see, even Britain said where they vote for come out for EU, it dey talk say the people they talk say me they vote again, see me they join EU. So there is nothing where they talk say if you make referendum for your self-determination, you shall sitting the new work and if you do them again.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever is saying that when you go in for a referendum, then you are doomed. No. And first of all, let us be positive here. We'll be positive here for one time. One time. Cardinal Tumi be organize a poll where it be show say about 70 something percent or 60 or getting to 70% be talk say they won for commode. Um was it Tenfa or Fege or some other person it be organize it on. Even CDN, where we know
Yeah,
very well.
CDN organize their own. Yeah.
CDN be organize their own poll. It was overwhelmingly. So it's our fear day for year. Where is our fear? People for Grand Zero don't know what to way they define them. They know them. Instead for we for stay for the one place they kill with that they burn our houses, our women that they burn for bush, begin that they die, baby matter that they die, begin to come out school, they kill them. If we get this window, why will not we use them as they use them today? They don't give you some things, so more try, more work on it. They will continue for do what they do them. Any person where they can't talk say if they give you a referendum, it means say if you lost, then all that. That is a fat lie.
Okay.
Make you go find some
That
other
is
thing for cook because that cigar, they work.
all right. Thank you, Chairman Jackson. I would like me to post the phone number where we will start take calls more time for people where they get question for ask them. If they fit put the phone number for screen, and then people then fit call ask question, make my panel where they get big sense. They don't come for explain how this thing they work. I make Ambazonians they understand. Dr. Ngwambe, one thing where people they ask and say between referendum and plebiscite, which one better? How you will explain that one? Because some brother and the first time I say, oh, they want to play beside, but that will can't explain that play beside this, so you don't even find they decide now for ship. They abandon that play beside now. They go down for negotiation. So but some people they still talk because I'm here born a long way. We talk the call them. They talk about play beside. If you explain why play beside not fine.
So the funny thing where Dave about that talk where Comrade Paul be talk about this issue 1961. No, 1961 no be been a referendum. It be been a
plebiscite.
That is the funny thing. I mean, it be talk like say that issue be been a referendum, but that was a plebiscite. And mind you, it be been a binding plebiscite. The thing where Dr. Sako and the people they be proposed now a non-binding plebiscite. We understand, no? So back in 1961, there was a binding plebiscite where after the results of that plebiscite now, Southern Cameroonians, former British trustee of Southern Cameroonians, were essentially had to go and work with La République du Cameroon and their dictator to figure out what kind of an association we were supposed to have with each other. That's what is there. unfortunately, I mean, for those who are not paying attention to the history, I mean, and those who are learning the history now, and I know I was watching Monzu the other day, Dr. Monzu the other day, explaining some things, you know, telling part of the story, but not telling the rest of it. The reason why we got into this mess, right, was because after this, joining La République de Cameroon, and we were supposed to be in an association and in our federation, inside of French Cameroon, which is something that we all knew, Ahidjo was a very brutal dictator. He be lay people them from the stories where we hear. He be lay people and they kill people, execute political opposition parties that were existing in French Cameroon. So when it came time that they were saying, let us get rid of all the political parties in the country and become one unique party, as much as our brothers, as much as Dr. Munzu say, but why didn't the Anglophones not protest? They were going to protest like what? They'd already seen the president, you know, the key all kind of opposition people, and for French Cameroon, they go woke up their mob, they protest like who? They go woke up their mob, they protest like who? So unfortunately for them, they sat there quiet and they went and they folded all the parties together. It became one party. Now, the 6 years leading up to the cancellation of all the political parties going up to 1972, where the referendum was, what happened? There was a law put in place against anti-subversion. What is anti-subversion? That means is now that you all are one political party, if you all think differently from Ahidjo, who was beating up people and killing people and disappearing people, you are gone for it. So when that was coming up, those 6 years up to 1972, and that referendum was coming up, who the hell was existing that was going to open up their mouth and say, you know what, my people, maybe when I no vote for against that referendum? Who was going to exist to do that?
Dr. Gwambe, Dr. Gwambe, don't.
Into this mess. We have never had a choice, my fellow. We have never had a choice. So if we have this one ask that we have now, and we find a way to either collaborate, build alliances, build coalitions amongst each other to fund the activities that we need to do that will get us to that negotiating table, that will get a coalition of international partners to get behind us and put pressure on La République de Cameroon. We go through all the negotiation process, all the things we're going to do, and then we get our internationally supervised referendum. And if we look at a country like East Timor, the UN had hundreds of trucks put there, hundreds of UN observers that were there. They even hired people to be there. And my fellow Ambazonians, the reason why we need to even be collaborating is that so amongst the different organizations, that so that we can help our people in ground zero to help be observers when this referendum comes, so that no hanky-panky goes on. That's why all these things need to be discussed now, and we need to start doing these things now so we don't fall into this mess that is eventually going to happen.
All right. Thank you, Dr.
The history is all there for us to see. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And wait, the last thing I'd like to add is that, Mike, let me add this last thing. I know there are tons of people who always like to go out there and say and mock people. Oh, this their doctor title, blah blah, this, etc., etc. How many people are managing this liberation struggle who have PhDs? I'm an MD, by the way. I'm not a PhD. How many people in this liberation are managing this struggle who are PhDs or MDs? How many people who are managing the defense structures of this liberation struggle are PhDs or MDs? How many chairs are PhDs? How many controllers of mission? Because I know that's what you all have at the AGOV, CADF. How many controllers of mission are PhDs? PhDs are not and MDs are not in control of this liberation struggle. As a matter of fact, some of the information that we have even been able to learn about this liberation struggle has not come from PhDs or MDs. My brother Lehman, who is here, who speaks so eloquently, he's not a PhD. My brother Verla Franklin, who has been so great at holding leadership accountable and motivating the people, he's not a PhD. Mark Barretta and the rest, they're not PhDs. Our brother Pat Tassan, was he a PhD? Sisiko Ayuktabe, was he a PhD? Tam Mike, are you a PhD? Chairman Jackson, are you a PhD? So all these nonsense where people, when they don't even have a valid argument, they don't even care to go and research and do the reading to come and properly situate our people on the correct narrative. They start thinking to all these kind of funny kind of
yes, because let me tell you this. It's because when you don't have any meaningful argument to present, you look for a way to tear down your opponent. That is what these people do. They look for a way to tear you down because they don't have any argument to present. That's the problem. Now, I have a question here from one of our viewers, as Chasolini Casaro says, Mr. Moderator, please, after you vote to join in 1961, how many times have you voted again? We would vote again and again. What a naive people. Well, The thing is this: well, that is one of the confusions why people make this statement, because they don't understand the difference between a plebiscite and a referendum. That is why we are able to still ask for another referendum, despite the fact that we had a so-called referendum in 1972. I call it so-called because that was not a referendum. Yes, that was not a referendum. We can have a referendum and yet have another one again. So the fact that in 1961, which was but a plebiscite, not a referendum. So there's a difference there. Chaslini, I just wanted to make that point.
I forget the people of Quebec are
Comrade
naive. These
Franklin, you
Scottish
were raising
people are
your
naive.
finger. You had something to say there. Please go on.
Yes. So, like you said, and I want to just lay some kind of emphasis and reiteration on the point that you made. Apparently, we have never had a referendum because, like I said,
We have not. We have
information.
not. Yes.
In America, you have Freedom of Information Act, and our people have never known that America people can move and have their right, their everything because of Freedom of Information Act. People are always given information, even by government entities. A plebiscite is something that is controlled by a government or for a government.
Yes.
A referendum is a civilian-led process.
Exactly.
And a body in the world that controls civilian-led process, that have the right of self-determination, right of self-defense, is the United Nations. The United Nations is an NGO. What is that? Intergovernmental. It's not a government like Cameroon. It just interacts with governments, but it is what is for the civilian. So a referendum is a civilian-led process. But and a plebiscite is a government-led process. That's why we cry. We could not decide what happened when we left the Eastern House of Enugu. Yes. Civilians were not given the opportunity to even know what was going on. Fuman Conference, that was a fake referendum. It was not. Civilians were not given. Civilians were not given the opportunity to see the final and the count. So the problem that we're having now is we call ourselves, and this one is going to be so sweet now, Never Again Generation. You dare not call me Never Again Generation and downgrade my power and my optimism. How dare you call me Never Again Generation and you sit down to me? If you think I'm going to fall now and remain on the floor, the Never Again Generation is that one that we are going to conduct referendum this month. If it fails, we're conducting next month. How about that to prove yourself that we are a Never Again Generation? Yeah. Did we give up after play? Did we give up after 1961? Did we give up after 1972? And now when the blood is gone, the bloodbath is a lie. Our people are suffering. We are here on, do our people on refugee camp not want to come home? What about the IDPs? What about us here? You think the Never Again Generation is still the one that was not defined? Don't you not call us Never Again? Never Again means like the people of Papua New Guinea. We are going to do it now. If it doesn't work, we do it again and again, because there's no limit to the international human right to a sovereign people for that matter. So let you not be fooled by politicians who want to use you to continue to get money from contributions, get money from all, maybe some contributions that we don't even have. My people, stay resolute. You are the one, you are the government, you are, this struggle is about you, is for you, by you, and of you. This is what I have to say for this one. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that clarification there, Comrade Franklin. Because about the plebiscite again, because we have explained it here over and over, that a plebiscite is led by those in power. And to explain again for Ambazonians to understand, that is why in 1961 the people truly wanted the choice to choose to remain independent. But because the decision was being made by those in authority, you were compelled to vote between two choices you did not want. They pick the choices you have to vote on, and they pretend as if the decision is coming from you when the decision is actually coming from them. That is the difference between a plebiscite and a referendum. Because a referendum, you vote on what you want. You vote on the decision you want. If it were a referendum, we would have had the third choice, which would have been, do you want to remain independent? That would have been the choice for us. But we did not have that because others made the decision for us. I've tried to explain this thing, my brother. I hope that you adding your voice to it, people will understand and not continue to misinform our people. Now, there's someone here who is asking about the composition of the panel. We have put a number here. If you have a dissenting view about the discussion here, please call and make your voice heard. We will not refuse any call. We're not refusing any question. Call the phone number here and let us hear about what you think. The phone lines are open. You can call even while the discussion is still going on. Now, we are getting towards the end of the program, and I would like to hear your concluding statements to Ambazonians out there. What should Ambazonians take home from the discussions we have had today? Chairman Jackson, why don't you go first?
All right, thank you. Um, my conclusion here is that I want Ambazonian to understand one thing, that this referendum is not a group of individuals that sat down and make a proposal for Ambazonian to do this. It's false. This is something that the diplomacy that we long wanted, the diplomacy for 4 or 5 years that we never had, is already working. People came to us, invited our leaders, and gave them an opportunity to resolve this crisis in a way that we think if we do what we're doing is going to benefit our people. So I want everybody to understand today that the referendum issue we're talking about is not something that came from any of our leaders. Our leaders were invited and were presented with that option. And thank God that for the first time, everybody that attended that conference with the hosting institution were 100% for it. And so we are ending this show today on the note that finally God has helped Ambazonians and to come together and to help our people on ground zero. And I thank Vela Franklin and the activists for the coming together to think that the unity we have been wanting is starting with them. It should not end there. Continue to guide and lead those members of your group that can be going astray. Because to come together is one thing, but to stay together is another thing. So please, you guys do a good job. We appreciate what you guys are doing, and we appreciate what everybody here has said. And I thank my brothers on the panel. Till next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Jackson. Thank you. Don't leave yet. There may be a question coming in that will come your way, so don't leave yet. And
I'm not
to
leaving.
add to add to what you said there, and about the offer that the Hudson Institution has made, their offer to help us with the diplomatic aspect of this struggle. I mean, when I think about the way some of our comrades are behaving, it's like you find yourself in a pit. You are down there, just hoping that someone can come and get you out. Then finally, someone shows up and throws you a rope and say, "Buddy, grab that rope and let me help pull you out." And then you sit there and say, you only throw me a rope. Couldn't you find a ladder to bring so I can use to get out of this hole? Someone is giving you a rope to get out, but you are demanding that he should go and bring you a ladder. Is that showing appreciation to that person? That is how some of these comrades are behaving. Someone is throwing us a rope. Let's use it to get out. Don't sit there and ask for a ladder. I think there's a call coming in. Let me take it. Maybe it will come to. Hello.
Hello. Sorry, my background might be a bit noisy, but I just wanted to ask the panel. In concluding, somebody just said that the diplomatic efforts have led to us being offered a referendum. Am I correct in saying this? And who is offering of this referendum?
No. Okay. Okay. First of all, I don't know if you want to hold on. You want to hold on, or do you drop?
Yes, no, I would like to hold on. By the way, my name is Julius Toto.
Okay, Julius. And where are you calling from, Julius?
I'm calling from the UK.
Okay. Nice to hear from you. So, I don't think, first of all, I don't think we have said anyone has promised us a referendum. We are pursuing it. But let me allow Comrade Lehman to take on that. Comrade Lehman, what can you say to Comrade Julius about the fact that was it Comrade Franklin who made a statement? Maybe it was Comrade Franklin.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Just in the last few minutes. Yeah.
All right, maybe Comrade Franklin, but we have not said we have it like in the back. But people are offering their assistance to us to help us achieve it. Comrade Franklin, maybe that's coming your way.
Oh yes. Thank you so much, dear caller from calling from the Queensland. Thank you so much for participating. That's the spirit. You know, you see guns and bullets that we have. Nobody gave us. Nobody gave anything to us. The only thing they gave us was that fake plebiscite and the fake referendum. Everything we are talking is the democracy of the people. That all options are on the table.
Okay.
If I want to give you a Lamborghini and you have a private, you will not take a Lamborghini. But when you deny, you tell me, look, I have a private jet with my pilot. So if there is something better than referendum, my brother, you should have already taken me to Korea already with it. Why are you hiding it? That's a treasonous crime. So no one is giving us referendum. We are working hard to get it to internationalize to the people, to the world. That our people have the freedom and very educated now to choose. There are no government, no France, no La Republic to decide for our people. This is the simplest thing I can say.
All right. So I'm sure you heard that, Comrade Julius. He's saying that no one has promised us that they will give it to us, but it is the people who are demanding it. And they simply have people who are willing to do the knocking of the doors internationally or diplomatically for us. It does not mean that we have it in a bag somewhere that's ready to be delivered. No. And Comrade Lehman may add to it. Go ahead, Comrade Lehman.
Okay, I just want to thank the comrade for asking a question. So let me make it really easy for us. The idea of an exclusive referendum is not just us asking as a sign of charity. It is our entitlement right. The first thing, it is a jurisprudence. It's a jurisprudential principle in international law. In any case where the sovereignty of a state is in dispute, as in our case, where La Republic is saying that we are part of them, and we have proof that we are not part of them, we have never been part of them, we are a sovereign country that got its independence on the 1st of October 1961. That's the first international law we have to understand. So it's an international jurisprudence. We are two countries that came together in a union, and we have the union agreement. So if you go to Article 2 of the 1961 Federal Republic of Cameroon Constitution, it states clearly that the sovereignty of the republics, the two republics, lies in the people, and they will exercise it directly through a referendum, or they will delegate it to their deputies to exercise it for them at the parliament. So if we don't have deputies to determine our right to self-determination, our people by law that La Republique agreed on is forced to relinquish their rights and allow our people to determine for themselves in a referendum. Article 2, let me repeat again, you guys can search it. Article 2 of the Federal Republic Constitution clearly states that. So as a result of the union, if it did not work out, our people have the right to vote in a referendum. It is stated clearly, a referendum, not a plebiscite. So we have two major instruments. The first is international jurisprudence, like the case in Kosovo, Eritrea, and all the other countries that were involved in a conflict of state succession. The second one is the national law, which is the bylaw we had with La République du Cameroon and the Republic of Southern Cameroon. Why am I stating this? Our people need to stop thinking we are begging for a referendum. It is our inalienable, fundamental human right. The right to self-determination is inalienable, which means it has no status of limitation. We can invoke it at any time if we feel that our rights have been violated. And now this is the last thing I want to make clear before I leave I stop. We should remember that we joined La République in a union. We had a union agreement, and the union agreement was spelled down clearly in the bylaws, which they call it the Constitution. And Article 47 stated clearly that the federal nature of the state shall never be amended or altered. Such alteration was null and void ab initio. So we are the ones refusing to invoke our entitlement. It is not the international community. Laws are for people to invoke. If somebody steals your house and you don't invoke your house, the judge cannot come and force that person to leave that house. You have to be the one to invoke your house.
I think something. Okay, I'm sure you landed, but something happened with your audio there towards the end. But that's okay. Let me I think I found the article you are referring to here. Let me just read it. I think Article 2: national sovereignty shall be vested in the people, who shall exercise it either through the members returned by it to the Federal Assembly or by way of a referendum, nor may any section of the people or any individual arrogate to itself or to himself the exercise thereof. Just confirming what you said there. I have a copy of the Constitution here with me. I always refer it to make sure I stay in context. Yes. So did you hear the Comrade Phillips?
Let me ask something, please. We can hear him.
A referendum of the country, the whole federation, not of a particular section of the federation. So it has to be, according to that article that you just read, it cannot be an exclusive referendum of one part of that country. It has to be a referendum of the whole country. That's the way I understand that.
No. That's not true. That's not true.
That's not true.
If you read first of all the definition of what a referendum is, if you want me to find it and I read it to you, then you understand that it does not jive with what you are saying there. What you are saying there does not add up. Definition of a referendum: a vote in which all the people in a country or an area are asked to give their opinion about or decide an important political or social question. You understand that, Comrade Julius?
Yes, that is the general definition of a referendum.
I'll let you speak. If that is a general definition, then a constitution cannot now undefine what the definition of that referendum is. You believe that?
I'm afraid the constitution of a country is sovereign.
But the words used therein must be in context, right?
Yes. If it says that no section of the population can arrogate to itself the right to rule and to decide. It has to be the whole population.
Was it who wanted to say something?
It's me.
Let me come in real quick. And I'm just going to use 10 seconds and then I'll hand off real quick. See, this is the problem that we Ambazonians are facing. We need to make sure that we have shows like this often, and even some of the meetings, the virtual conferences that we're having. Please, those of you who keep coming up with these arguments, you are uninformed, and you need to make sure you attend some of the meetings that we've been having and watching the correct programs so you can be rightfully framed in your arguments. And mind you, some of the answers to the things you're talking about are online, for God's sakes, from reputable sources, not from
Yes.
junk programs. I mean, I really don't get it. This is let me just finally say this thing right there with regards to the referendum. When you look at other countries who have had referendums, right, and ended up with their sovereignty and their independence, South Sudan, did they go and involve those guys in North Sudan in that vote? Was Ethiopia involved in the referendum that Eritrea had for their own did Indonesia participate in the East Timor vote? All the breakaway republics of Yugoslavia, were they going, and when Slovenia was having its referendum, did Kosovo go and participate in that? Come on, guys, what the hell is wrong with you people?
And what meaning will it have? Therefore, it's just like, what isn't this the same thing of 1972, where allowed the whole country to vote on something that concerned a part of the country? It is wrong to involve everybody in something that concerns an aggrieved small section of that people. Only the aggrieved people are allowed to vote because it concerns them.
That might be people that behave like people then. That might be people that behave like people then way. They go write chemistry for Gino. They only read inorganic chemistry. They don't read organic or physical chemistry. Then they want past G muscle. What is wrong with these people?
Thank you for your call.
You go and read one section, you don't take into consideration the other sections of established history and precedents that are there, and you want to come and present an argument on national television as if you're. I mean, what is this?
No. It is much welcome, because by asking the question, I think a lot more people have been educated. So
they will understand. They will understand.
So, Chairman Jackson, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I was just like, I was going to say what Dr. Ngwambe just said, but I will just add that. And again, each referendum is unique in itself, because it has to be contextualized. So we can never use general definitions to apply to each referendum. The aspiration of the people of Southern Cameroon is independent, but when we ask for a referendum, it will be the wordings and the aspiration that will be put into that context is what we are aspiring for. So I don't want people to come here and just use general definitions without looking into the context in which we are talking and we are fighting today. And let me make this one correction, before the last correction before I leave. The issue of a referendum came up because representative from the State Department, Senate, the House in US, the Swiss Embassy, the Hudson Institution, they came together and invited our leaders.
CDN was present. Yeah.
And CDN and gave that proposal to our leaders. Okay, when they agreed, they said, okay, we have a working document that we can now move up to the authorities and work for it. It is incumbent for us, while they are doing the working, we start sensitizing our people like we are doing, so that everybody, like what Dr. Ngwambe said, we don't want them to come back and say, okay, there is a yes here, then we are not prepared, just like what happened in Fumba and the other places. So I don't want people to use that to say that nobody has offered a referendum. Nobody said they offered a referendum. There is a process that has just started, and it is good for us to make everybody understand that we have been given the opportunity to come together, and this is the process in which we are following. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Jackson. I think we'll just give your closing remarks. Gwambe, if you can go on, followed by Comrade Lehman and Comrade Franklin can close, and we'll call it a day. We'll have another chance to take a jab at this.
Look at bro. My brother, the process, it go long because people then they know they just want to confuse this matter. Anyway, nothing for laugh, my brother. Nothing for laugh. Anyway, I want to first off start by saying I want to thank my brother Billy Takambeng, who in the comment section said Ambazonians and Ambazonia are great people in a great country. Look at this debate we've had today. It's just a confirmation of how great of a people we are. So, my fellow Ambazonians in Ground Zero, we are you and you are us. Without Ground Zero in particular, there is no Ambazonia. And without the diaspora, there's also no Ambazonia. As a result, I trust the people of Ambazonia in Ground Zero and in the diaspora to continue working together until we secure the sovereignty and real independence of our homeland. I have 100%, I repeat, I have 100% confidence in the people of Ambazonia, especially Ground Zero. I have more confidence in Ground Zero than I have in some people in the diaspora, because not all of us in the diaspora are bad. But I have 100% confidence in the people of Ambazonia to vote in favor of a sovereign and fully independent Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia if given a fair process via an internationally supervised referendum. All options are on the table. And I repeat, all options are on the table. And what does that mean? That means we of the IG, we are continuing to, and you, if you believe in our sovereignty and our independence, you should also continue to support our liberation fighters on the battlefield who have made this liberation possible. So don't just pause on what we've been doing that has actually made this possible. Continue to support our brothers back home, our brothers and sisters back home. It is necessary. I want to thank ABS TV, our host, Tom Mike, and my fellow co-panelists, the CEO of Verla Franklin, Comrade Lehman, and Chairman Jackson for coming together today so that we can properly inform our people. You see, it is necessary that we inform our people properly. My fellow countrymen and countrywomen, the Ambazonians you have listened to on this panel today have common interest, and though we come from different organizations, we are united in purpose, and that purpose is to secure the sovereign independence of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. My brothers, as you go back to your various organizations and those of you who are watching us, motivate them and get them to understand that we need to continue to talk to one another and build the collaboration that is needed to get us to the finish line in Boya. So thank you, Tom Mike, for having us today. My brothers, take care.
Thank you, Mr. Tangwambe. Thank you very much for coming on board. It's always a pleasure having you on. Comrade Lehman, over to you, please.
Your microphone, bro, your microphone.
Your audio is not on. Not yet.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good now.
Okay, I want to thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Comrade Jackson, Comrade Franklin. It's nice seeing you and hearing from you in this new light. I am elated. You know, when we started preaching about this exclusive referendum, we were like lone wolves. Since 2020, we were preaching about our people calling for an exclusive referendum. Hearing all of you guys joining us in asking for that referendum just makes me happy. And I understand the frustration some of us will have, like, Doctor, just take it, that's how our people are. They will always get under your skin. It's called tough love. So I just want to round up by saying that I'll be looking forward on working with all of you. Let us not just end at the level of talking. I'm hoping we're going to come together and build institutions that will help propel this solution to our sovereignty. And I want to make our people to understand that the call for an exclusive referendum and the right to self-defense are two faces of the same coin. They are all trying to buy one thing: the restoration of the sovereignty of the Republic of Southern Cameroons, the Republic of Ambazonia. So I'm begging that we should not make this a party business. It should not be a group issue. It should be an all-Ambazonian initiative where we can all come together, hold hands, and seek for a peaceful, permanent solution for our people on the ground. They have been fighting for over 7 years. They have been staying out of school for over 7 years. People have not been able to sleep, eat, go to work, or have a day of rest without the sound of guns all over and bombs. So if we can give our people a beacon of hope, something to look up to, that the end of the tunnel is somewhere around, that will be a big push for our people. And last but not the least, the right to self-determination is a fundamental human right. We cannot prevent our people from exercising that right. Even if we fight and we defeat La République in a war, we will still end up voting in an exclusive referendum.
Yes.
The reason is simple. Some of our people want to stay with La République. What is the proof? We have our people who are senators in La République's kangaroo parliament. We have parliamentarians who are still there in La République's parliament. We have our brothers who are in La République's military. We have our family members who are in the administration of La République. Those are realities. So our right to self-determination as those who want to restore the sovereignty doesn't negate their right to determine where they want to be. So at the end of it, the right to self-determination is going to apply. A referendum will come, be it today or tomorrow. It is better today than tomorrow. Thank you guys, and thank you guys very much for this initiative. And Comrade Vela, you are my leader. Thank you.
Comrade Lehman, I cannot thank you enough for coming on board, brother. Let it not be the first time. Let's continue this discussion. And I would like to say this to others who may be wondering how we managed to be here on the same platform. If you have your own organization, if you want to invite me to take part in a panel, please let me know. I'll be there. I have no barriers where I can talk. As long as I know I'm speaking the truth, I'm willing to speak it wherever, whenever. So let us continue this discussion, open door policy that we are beginning to cultivate. It is good. Ambazonians are appreciating it. Let us give it to them. Thank you again for coming. Comrade Franklin, it's over to you, please.
All right, thank you so much for the red feather. Thank you so much, Dr. Ngwame. Thank you for the great information, knowledgeful that you have. You are priceless. Thank you so much, Chairman Jackson. You be chairman, not be for nothing. Oh. You sabi am. Lehman, my brother, now you there for front now. You be frontliner. Thank you so much. And to Mike, you are irreplaceable, and thank you, because today is not only talking about referendum. We are talking about giant collaboration. And you can see me here. See me already in this TV. For the first time, I go out of my comfort zone. It is one stone, and we are shooting so many birds, and this is the greatest thing. My people, like you see, Doctor say he's a learned man. Dr. Wame is a bookman. I can't beat his record. He's in our midst. God has given chairman here and Comrade Lehman here with us. Look, my people, fear is one of the highest things that can make people to remain in the slum. If you can see where we are now, it's because you remove fear for the step we have gone. You need to do it again more. Let's move again forward. Let me say this. If you look at the Ethiopian population, 120 million people. But the less than 400 people of Eritrea, we are not scared that they are going to rig their referendum. If 300 and something thousand people of Eritrea could face the odds and go in because they didn't fear, they had no father, they were like orphans. God stood with them, and behold, because they have faith, because they have hope in themselves, they believe in their energy. The Eritrean people went one time, and behold, the 120 million Ethiopian, one of the biggest countries on earth, where no one could defeat even during the era, the Eritrean people had their independence. Talk about the Gambian people. Therefore, my fellow brothers and sisters, look at Ambazonia, millions we have. We have the social media now. We are educating ourselves now. And this is why I want to thank the caller. Caller, thank you so much, because I know now how I have to tighten my belt in sensitization and mobilization. No question is useless. If you don't tell me what is in your mind, I don't know how I need to work so hard to get you there. We did the same for self-defense. Those who didn't know it, we work so hard, but besides that they don't know. People who don't believe in collaboration, thank you. Because of that, we know how we have to work hard to bring us together. Last but not the least, my people, fear not. You know, this battle is like a fish. There is a big fish like a shark in a fish pond. Big fish. You have a net. You want to catch it with a net. I said, this big fish will drag you close the net and eat you close the net. That is fear that I have. Because I don't know whether you can tie that net in a big tree, in an Iroko big tree, and the fish cannot drag it. Maybe you have your own strategy. I don't want you to tell me in public. But because I have fear, I must mind you. Secondly, I want to use a hook. I say a hook for a shark, a big fish. It's going to swallow the hook and come even and swallow you plus everyone around. But I don't know if your hook is a poisonous one. I don't even know. And then somebody come with a little bottle and it's some kind of gamma or poison inside. I say, I'm gonna just drop in the water and the fish will die and I will just take it. I said, how are you gonna eat it? I said, don't worry, it's gonna go to the intestine very soon. I will just take it out. Well, I don't know, means the doctor is here, you have antidotes, right? To kill the poison. But we wanted to kill the fish, so we don't care what you want to do with the fish. But then village man like me come on. Look at all these book people with the hole, with the poison, with the net, and laugh. They're gonna look at that picture. I say, you all are wasting your time. Can somebody they give me a little hole, a little something, a little channel, a little hole? Say, why? I want to drain the water and I'm gonna go there and cut the fish in pieces and cook it. Why the fish is seeing me? I'm just going to drain the water from the fish pond. And the fish will be helpless. Now, I am using a theory. I'm using, in this life, there are three people: the idealist, the Marxist, and the realist. An idealist is real. The destination what matter, independence. A realist is real, but different strategy, but independence. A Marxist cut in the middle. That's what I am. That's what I'm telling you here now. Self-defense, diplomacy, what's your goal? Intention, independence. So these three people in society always think that this one really think that they're right, and they will think that Marxists and idealists are wrong. It's a lie. A realist think that Marxists and realists are wrong. It's a lie. And a Marxist think that they are the only real people like Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher. No, at the end of the day, it's a destination that matters. You wanted to kill the fish, yes? Was the method matter? The method did not matter. If that fish has been swallowing people in the village like Cameroon, swallowing Ambazonian people, do you really care the method in which we used to kill the fish? No. So allow the person who have a hook, if he carry the hook and they carry him go, the people will get hook. Nobody go through the hook. If you hook through the hook, they carry you go. Me, I go come at the end. I go drain the water. I go cook the fish and cut the eye. Cook while another eye seeing. Hello, we are the same. So my fellow brothers and sisters, this is the beginning of giant collaboration. Knowledge is power. I am your activist. I have never failed you. I tell you things and you call me a prophet when I'm not. It is just common sense of the society. Therefore, I want to thank the people whether they hear my mama and papa them. If you not tell me how wrong you did, I'm not going to know how I need to sensitize you. Now, why that we are there here? Time with a plenty. Thank you so much, everybody, fellow Ambazonians. I believe in you than anyone on earth, because Ambazonians are a never again generation that can never fail themselves, not our future, not our independence, not our children. I believe you than anything on earth, because you have done what no one has ever done on earth. I heal and thank you so much, and God bless. Shortly,
thank you again. Thank you very much, Comrade Franklin. Thank you for coming on board. It was a pleasure. I think I'm sure Ambazonians enjoyed this debate, and I'm sure they'll want to see us do this again next time. Maybe not the same topic, but something else. But the door has already been opened, and we will continue to collaborate, as Comrade Franklin rightly said. It is a dawn of a new day. Ambazonians are coming together as the international community wants to see us do. There may be some
Chairman, I'm coming in this platform on Monday to talk about, because I'm not a spokesman for the activists, so I spoke as myself as an individual. So on Monday, please, activists are coming in this platform to talk about that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly. Monday, Comrade Chris will be right here with Mark Beretta. I think JK is coming and some other persons. So be tuned back on ABS TV Monday for a really interesting show. So I want to thank
Chairman,
you. I would like to close with this statement.
Before you close, remember, we should be telling where there's a conference that will be coming up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, there's a conference that's coming up in Washington, D.C. I think it's the 23rd to the 25th.
The last week of June, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It starts on the 23rd, I believe, and it's for further more discussions on the referendum. More discussions on the referendum.
And we shall have foreign dignitaries present.
Those who are able to make it there, please make it there. Let's start, like we're saying here, we have to start planning, putting down these ideas, maybe start working on some modalities so that when the time comes, we have a ready plan. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that we start early so we get ahead of the game. So
Manu draft tomorrow. Manu draft. My new draft tomorrow.
Manual draft is tomorrow. Manual draft. Like they say, we cannot talk about the referendum alone. We have to continue to fund our ARFs on the ground. So the manual draft is coming up tomorrow on ABS TV and on the Zoom. So you look for the link and join it and chip in to support Manu. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this. We cannot be hopeless in the face of challenges. We have to remain optimistic and knowing that our destiny lies in our own hands. The decisions we make every single day, every single week, every single month, that is how we build on to success. By the cumulative actions that we make each day, it will help us to get to our destination. My concluding statement here, I will have to shorten it because the program has lasted longer than we estimated, so we're already out of time. So, fellow Ambazonians, I really appreciate you hanging on with us today, and I hope that the ideas we have put forth here will be beneficial with regards to your decision making in the days ahead, especially with regards to the referendum. So, I'd like to call on you to tune in next time when we come up with the next topic. And with that, comrades, ladies and gentlemen, the war zone is out. Take good care of yourselves and each other. Good night.